Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the event of the season. Oh my gosh. Oh my lord. Is it 3 o'clock? 3 p.m. on the dot? Is it really? On time? A stream? Oh my god. Oh, I'm just giddy thinking about it. Wow. Hello, everybody. Can you believe that I haven't streamed in a whole year? That's insane, dude. I haven't streamed since 2023. Dude, that's crazy. Did any of y'all get a text from me on January 1st? Because if you didn't, that means I left yo ass in 2014. You did not have to welcome the ladies. There are none here. So true. Hey, if there are any ladies in chat, take a sip of water to stay happy and hydrated. Oh my god, it feels good to be back. It feels good. I'm feeling great, chat. Are you feeling great? What's up, everybody in chat? Minus, Autistic Nerd, Food Consumer, Tactical Panzer, Skeleton, Blitz, Neo, Cheese Guy, Point Man, Bagman, No Name, nice. Adil, Skeleton, I already called you out. Hi, everybody. Thomas LeGamer, important message in DMs, Roger. Alright, thanks, Thomas LeGamer. I checked it out. What's up, everybody? Seeing some new faces, seeing some not so new faces. We're streaming on the main channel again because this is an important message. This is an important event. We hold one of these every year. It's the 2024 Year in Review live stream where we go back over the previous year and we talk about it and we say what we liked and what we didn't like and we talk about boys and the upcoming prom and make sure everyone has their dresses in order and everyone has everything they need. And I'm so excited. First stream, well, welcome very much. The Super Mario Odyssey soundtrack is going hard. Welcome. I will say, just right off at the beginning of stream, yes, if this is your first Edit 320 live stream experience, note. Alright, come on, guys. I don't want singing, alright? My voice is the only one you should be hearing. If you, are interested in seeing more Edit 320 live streams, or if you enjoy this experience, I live stream all the freaking time on my second channel, Edit 320 Live. A link to it is, I do believe, in the description below of this live stream. I don't stream a lot on the main channel, only for special occasions, but again, I stream all the time on the second. So if you're interested in more stuff like this, if this stream is fun and you enjoyed it, I seriously recommend you subscribe to Edit 320 Live. But we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that as we go today. Eddie, can you stop the stream and start it again in 3 hours? We don't like the Europeans watching. Yeah, I mean, you gotta... Look, every now and then we have to accept the Euros, okay? As much as we all wish they were not... I mean, you know, but every now and then we have to account for them, and I'm sorry, but that's just how it has to go. So today we're accounting for the Europeans, and I apologize for that. I live stream all the freaking time. Also post an announcement about how he's canceling stream every other week. That happened in the end of December leading up to Christmas and then afterwards because I was very busy with the holidays. But otherwise, yes, you're correct. Blitzneo, I'm burned out of tanks. How do I get back to my love for them? Try getting involved in like boat stuff and then you'll realize how bad and how awful and shitty that stuff is. And it'll make you go back to wanting to do tank stuff. Once you realize how lame all the other stuff is, it'll make you want to, you'll get interested in tanks again. No, in all seriousness, I recommend, try like studying up on some tanks that you didn't really care about before. And getting interested of like, wow, like I didn't realize, you know, something about some other tank. You guys see my, also this music is scary. Why is it scary? Top Hat Tower, this one sounds cool. Alright, I'm sorry guys, we gotta go back to the trailer theme. This is, the Super Mario Odyssey is a bit hit or miss. The OST is hit or miss. But do you guys see in the corner here? My camera's not quite... No. There we go. That little bit of like, yeah, that little bit in the corner. I don't like it. It's gotta be perfectly framed up. Anyways, let's get to this, alright? Let's actually just freaking let's blammo. Let's blam it and let's blap it. So... let me actually pull up different music because, I don't have access to my... Alright, well, hold on, chat. I know what I can do. I was going to say I don't have access to my typical streaming playlist, but the music that I typically play on stream is available on Edit320 Live, where you can go through the playlists, and I have it public, where I have my stream music copyright-free playlist. Okay, we gotta skip this out. Welcome, chat. So, as is tradition, with each year in review stream, we have a presentation. Welcome to the yearly review. This is a quarterly review. We're a bit more professional this time. Usually, like, this is full of spelling errors and like a lot of problems, and I don't have like anything, and it's really not good. But this year, I decided we needed to be very held together. Okay, chat. So this is very professional. This is the 2024 yearly review. Think of this as like a quarterly review, the performance of the company, right? You guys are all employees at this company that I started, and we're analyzing the profits for this quarter. But by quarter, I mean all 4 quarters in 1 year. With me, your CTO, the Chief Tank Officer. Edit320, year moment. This is a year moment. So last time we did this was about a year ago. And I know it's pretty coincidental that every year, that all of our yearly reviews are within a year of each other, exactly, like almost on the dot, but that's just the way it goes. So, Thomas the Gamer, I'm gonna have to ask you, can you ban yourself as a moderator? Thanks. So, basically, we have a couple things to go over, all right? I think one of the first things that we should talk about here on this presentation is the numbers. We gotta look at the numbers, okay? Because as a company, as people who we push a product, we gotta please the shareholders, right? And the shareholders, they don't care about the artistic value or the historical education. They don't give a damn, right? They don't give a rat's ass about any of that crap. They want to hear the numbers. They want to read the numbers. Exactly, the money. They want to know the money. So I'm gonna show all of you my bank account live on stream, okay? And let me tell you, okay? I am nothing without the numbers. There is no purpose to this. I forgot that I added that, but anyways. So if I'm gonna show you guys my bank account live on stream, basically, the numbers are down. They're down hard. The numbers are, I was doing the calculations, and I had my secretary, Leandra, over out in the office. I gave her all the numbers. She did some crunching. It's all AI, it's all algorithms, and this right here, this little graph you guys see, that's what came out. That's what came out. It was just a giant red arrow, and I really don't understand. Again, it's algorithms, it's all numbers and math. Like, I really don't get it, but it's just a gigantic red. It's just like absolute down the shitter. We might have to file for bankruptcy, and this guy's pissed. This guy's really pissed. He's a shareholder, and he is yelling. It's really not good. It's really not good. Payouts? That's yeah. Your paychecks. No. So you see. So about your paychecks, that's kind of the problem. Is I spent it all on hookers and cocaine, and I don't think that's related to the yearly Commander Cobble is playing Arma 3. Why the fuck why do I have Steam open right now? What the fuck is wrong with me? Sorry guys, that ruined everything. Look, the numbers are down, okay? In GTA, of course, in Minecraft, yeah. So, what I mean by this is, 2024 was actually not, the numbers are not as good as they were 2023. This is actually this is only half a joke. The numbers are genuinely down, but it's also literally over. As you can see here with the charts, I pulled up the charts, the views in the charts. It's literally over. You're all fired. You can see the numbers there. I highlighted in red between 2023 and 2024. 2023, you can just see spikes, absolute peaks. It's incredible. So many these little ticks are all videos, right? And so when a video releases, something pops. And then 2024, it's like basically nothing, right? It's like we're basically flatlining. So what I mean by this is that the channel's dying, and I'm gonna have to shut it all down. Okay, guys? Move to the corner so I can screenshot. Yeah. Here, do you guys just want to take a screenshot of that? Just take a screenshot of that real quick. Okay, cool. Now that you got that, so it's literally Mahover. We're basically all fucked. Okay, so you guys are not getting your paychecks, and I hate to say that. No, I'm just kidding. So, although the numbers this year are genuinely down, it's actually not nearly that bad. But I'm gonna be real, it's my fault, okay? I brought in our little dog. Sorry, y'all. It's my bad that the numbers are down, okay? You guys are not to blame for this, it's me. Powered by our sponsor, as you can see, powered by our sponsor, Pet Juavente. Is that Spanish thing or is that Pet Juvenate? Pet Juvenate? Thank you to our sponsor for today's stream, PJs. Sorry, y'all. Thanks to our sponsor, we can provide a cute little dog saying sorry. Sorry, y'all. The numbers were down. But, in all seriousness, all jokes aside, genuinely jokes aside, when I did upload, the videos did not do badly at all. Like, the actual individual view counts are great. I simply just didn't upload this year as much as I did last year. That's all. Like, memes aside, like, this is all like funny, haha, like everyone's fired, the company's going under. But no, the company's not going under, the channel's not failing. But I didn't upload as many videos this year as I did last year, and so as a result, like, genuinely, yeah, if you look at the graphs, and I'll look at more graphs in a minute, 2023 was an insane year for this channel, and 2024 just didn't go to that level, and that's okay. I didn't make as many videos this year, and that's genuinely on me. But when I did upload, the videos did great. We have Tank Enthusiast Reacts to World of Tanks. That video did amazing. It's 124,000 views. It did great. The Tank Tycoon video did amazing. The Greatest Sprocket Update Ever did good. And even our most recent Halloween special video performed quite well, I would say. Actually, I would say it performed really good, especially for what it was. I didn't think it would do that well, but it did really well. So, yeah, the M3 Lee video not even being in the top 4 is crazy. It literally took half the year. Yeah, and that's part of it too, right? Like, I spent so long on some projects that I didn't release others, and there was a lot of projects that I spent a little too much time on, rather than just actually having a consistent upload schedule, which was something I had kind of tried to promise at the end of last year, and clearly fell through on a little bit. So again, it's all on me. The channel is, I'm being serious, the channel is not dying at all. That was all a joke. I just straight up, I just didn't upload as many videos this year as I did last year. And so as a result, if you look at the graphs this year, we didn't do as well this year as we did last year, but that's not a bad thing. In fact, I think, yeah, it ain't all bad. Actually a pretty good year, all things considered. The content was satisfactory. People enjoyed the videos. As you can see, we got $5 Edit 320 content, tank videos at a cheap price. Satisfactory. The people loved it. The people gobbled it up. They ate it up like little Tic Tacs. We put up some big videos this year. Again, Tank Enthusiast Reacts to World of Tanks. That video did amazingly. I think it's like a new staple video on the channel. Tank Enthusiast Reacts to Gates of Hell Ostfront. Part 1 did pretty well, I would say. Actually, I think it did really well. Part 2 did good. Tank Enthusiast Reacts to Star Wars. That is a video that utterly flopped on its face. I honestly was surprised by that. That video did not do very good at all. That video was a complete flop. But it's okay. I liked it. I enjoyed making it. The second Georgia trip and exclusive tank footage. Those videos did not amazingly, but also not bad. But even still, I was really happy with what they were. Like, I think they came out well, but just not what people wanted to see. Best of Edit 320 Live, that is also a really great video that I'm very happy that I was able to finally make. But again, if you just look at raw numbers, it performed meh. Meh to thumbs down. I checked my box for my mandatory Sprocket video. At least one video this year was a Sprocket video, so I'm still on track for that. I'm not gonna get a citation in the mail, a parking ticket for not uploading a Sprocket video this year, so that's good. And the Sprocket video did very well, like we just covered here. The greatest Sprocket update ever. It was a good video, which may or may not tell me that people beg me to make Sprocket videos, not just because they want to see them, but because a lot of other people want to see Sprocket videos. A video about guns. I had promised at the end of 2023, that 2024 would have more gun stuff, and technically it did, because I did make one video, showing off a bunch of my guns, but not really to the degree that I was hoping, and so we're gonna talk about that later. Then the cool specials. We did an April Fool's video, and we did a Halloween video, and the April Fool's video I thought was hilarious. I genuinely loved it. I thought making it was super fun, and I'm really, really pleased with how it came out. But it was also kind of a flop, but that makes sense. It's April Fool's. I'm not expecting that thing to rein in the views. But the Halloween video did really, really good. So that's a major W. And of course, at the very bottom, the M3 Lee Super Documentary. It's performing very well at this moment. It is like the views are good, people are loving it, and that's what matters most to me, is that the feedback I'm getting is people really liked the M3 Lee video, which is great. I'm gonna just, you know what, this is fine. People really liked the M3 Lee documentary, so that's all I can ask for. Part 1 is almost sitting at like 22, no, part 1 is sitting at more than that. Part 1 is sitting at good views, and part 2 is not far behind it. So actually I think part 1 is almost at 30K views, which is awesome. That's genuinely really good for any video, let alone a super documentary. Yeah, 27,000 views for part 1 of the M3 Lee documentary, and that's great. And YouTube is really happy with the M3 Lee documentary, actually, because it turns out, guys, in case you didn't know, apparently the #1 metric that YouTube really cares about is watch time. So YouTube not only wants to see views, that people are clicking on your video, but that they're actually watching it. And so, with part 1 and part 2 of the M3 Lee documentary being like an hour and a half long each, the average watch time on both those videos is through the roof compared to my normal average. And so actually the ad revenue on both those videos have been actually really good, because the more time you watch, the more ads play and the more money I get. So all this being said, if I upload a video that's about an hour long, please watch the whole thing. It seriously helps me out a lot. YouTube was like, dude, like this video is doing great. So the M3 documentary has been a massive W, in my opinion. I think it's definitely been worth the effort, and people are really liking it. So again, on the whole, the numbers are down from last year, but when you look at the individual projects, things are doing just as good as they did last year, in some cases better. We just didn't have as many hits this year as we did. Last year we had hit after hit after hit after hit. This year we had like 3 or 4 videos that did really well, and then everything else was just kind of mid. But that's okay, you know? Every year can't be like the absolute smash dub. Chat, should I leave all of Ed's videos playing on loop overnight? Yes, you definitely should. That's basically the solution. That's what I'm basically asking. That's the solution. M3 Lee video was my favorite. Well, thank you. I'm very happy about that. That was my favorite video to make this year. Remember the time they told you shut the fuck up and you just shut off the camera and pause the game for like 2 minutes? Yeah, I need to do more than that. More of that. Gates of Hell gameplay video upcoming. Yeah, maybe we could do more Gates of Hell stuff. Edit320 Live is where it's at. BRB gonna watch funny moments from Edit320 Live. Yeah, thank you, Water Liquor. Yeah, dude, hey, again, check out the live channel. If you're watching this right now and you think live stream, if you think I'm doing a good job here of this whole streaming thing, what's up, fellow kids? Go check out Edit320 Live. It's where I do all of my streaming. My first was Battlefield 5. Yeah, statistically, that's where most of you guys came from. First vid I watched from you was Battlefield 5. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. As long as one stranger loves it, it's good enough to keep uploading. I agree, man. And that's always how it's been. It's just, if people like the videos, that's it. Like, I'm not gonna, even if this year was like actually genuinely a giant red arrow, I wouldn't just stop making videos. You should do more Cursed Tank Simulator videos. That is, yes, I agree. That video had good views and it was a lot of fun to make. And the tank enthusiast, the CTS community fucking loves me so much, and it's very humbling. It's very flattering. I'm very flattered that they like me so much over there. So let's continue about, oh yes, the big thing of this year. Okay, so content was good, people liked it, but this year has been the year of the streamer, dude. For what we may have lacked in like actual videos, and like 2023 we had so many videos that hit like 100K views and blew up and da-da-da-da. 2024 we only had a couple, but for what we lacked there, we made up for in streams. Holy shit, man. I didn't even realize it until looking back on this. We added to the Edit320 Live catalog this year in a big way. So in this screenshot, everything up there that I did a big red circle in, those are all playlists on the Edit320 Live channel that we started in 2024. That these did not exist before 2024. So literally like half of the content on Edit320 Live was all done in 2024. And there's a little subscriber chart down there where you can see we started off 2024 with about 1,153 subscribers, give or take, about 1,100 subs, and we have literally doubled. I think Edit320 Live right now is at like 2230, I think, 2,230. So to literally double the live channel, which is just like the side gig to begin with anyways, I'm happy with that. I'm more than happy with that. So it's really cool to see a lot of new people have been watching the live channel. We're getting new subs, and it's great, and people are liking it. We also have, I circled here, VR games and Sprocket streams. I circled these because these are both playlists that already existed, but we added to in 2024. So yeah, honestly, like a huge year for streaming on this channel. Also, like donations, and we got donations running right on the live streams. That was not something we were doing in 2023, but we got donations. We had our first funding goal for shooting guns that you guys funded for a piece of content. Like your donations helped fund me a bunch of ammunition to go shoot my guns for content. That succeeded, and that was great. And I actually went out and I did all that. I filmed all that stuff, and it's going to be a video soon, I promise. So yeah, the streams have been doing great this year, which is, I mean, again, all I can ask for. This slideshow better have a slide of notable Edit 320 Live viewers. Not quite. Hold on. Yeah, here we go. I have this. We had multiple Arms Trade Tycoon playthroughs in the last year. We did all of them. We did the original playthrough, we did the second playthrough, and then we did the Interwar playthrough all last year, this past year. We did Half-Life 2 and Half-Life Alyx, Tank Mechanics Simulator playthrough, which has been so much fun. We've done multiple streams on War Thunder. We did 2 little Minecraft streams, but I thought they were really fun, and I'd like to do more. The My Summer Card playthrough with Liam, Subnautica, Dead Space. We had a pumpkin carving stream this year, just like we did last year, but we added onto it with the pumpkin pie baking stream, which I also think was tons of fun. The Sprocket competition judging stream, which was a huge success, massive success. I think that stream VOD is sitting at like 3,000 views or something. It's crazy. And thank you guys. Ow, I just hit my hand on my desk. Thank you guys so much for watching it and enjoying it and engaging and submitting your tanks for that competition. And it definitely is something that we're gonna have to do again because it was just so much fun and everyone loved it. Miscellaneous streams. We played Helldivers 2. We did a Just Chatting stream, which I think we should do more of. That was so much fun. We did Squad 44. We did some Star Wars stuff, CTS, and the M3 Lead documentary Q&A stream, which we did on this channel. I mean, you know what, like a week ago, less than a week ago, something like that, a week or two ago. And again, super fun. I actually think doing a sort of like Q&A for a documentary, like I release a tank documentary and then I do like a Q&A for my most recent tank documentary. I think stuff like that actually should be something we should do more of, in my opinion. I think that was actually a lot of fun, and I think it was valuable for a lot of people who maybe got to watch the video, but there was something maybe that I'd left out that that you wanted to know about, especially if it is the kind of thing where like it wasn't the documentary wasn't as comprehensive as, say, the M3 Lead. Like the M3 Lead documentary, both parts pretty much goes through everything. So I understand if there's not that many questions that were left, but on some of my potentially shorter documentaries, you might have a lot of questions. And so doing a Q&A afterwards on a stream, I think would help a lot. It would be pretty cool. And also just for chances like this where we can just have a good time and chill out, guys. Did you ever get a sponsorship from Honey? If you shot it down, good job. No, I did not get a sponsorship from Honey, believe it or not. They never reached out to me. But yeah, dodged a bullet, right? Holy shit. What a freaking thing that ended up being. Contact me if you're going to make a video on CTS so you don't end up making a video just before the major update again, please. Yeah, I will, Pilter. Don't worry. Hey, Zach in chat. What's up, Zach? Hey, hi, Zach. What's up, dude? I remember when Bam Bam was the craze on the server. Oh, man. Yeah, sorry, I'm scrolling up in chat just to read a couple little love from Bulgaria. Oh, wow. Thank you, guys. Gates of Hell with patrons go burr. Yeah, we need to go back and do that. That was something we did last year. We should do it again. Oh, yeah, SnowRunner. The SnowRunner Box Wars. Yeah, wait, did that happen this past year? Love from the Bay Area. Well, thank you, No Name. Shout out to my West Coast viewers. He owns Honey. No, I don't own Honey. Thank God. Really liked your Sprocket videos. Will you be doing more in the future? Yes, definitely. Sprocket will not be going away. Although I probably won't make a video until like there's some actual tangible new update that I can talk about. You able to do a backflip? No, I can't actually. Thanks for asking, but no, I can't. I can't do a backflip. I can try, but I'd probably break my neck doing so. Okay, speaking of subscribers, because I was talking about in the previous slide how Edit 320 Live, we pretty much doubled subscribers in Edit 320 Live over the course of the last year. Speaking of subscribers, we did pretty good this year on the main channel. I mean, look at this. This is not half bad. So 2020, and this is what I mean when I say that if you compare 2023 with 2024, it's kind of like an insane blowout. So 2023, you can see right here, massive spike. And this is Battlefield 5. Again, statistically, 90% of you found me through the Battlefield 5 video or something like it. Some video that I made in 2023. Because 2023, you can see, is just a massive, huge spike in the Battlefield 5 video. This one is the ChatGPT Sprocket videos. That's another huge explosion. And then towards the end of the year, coming out with... what was another big one that hit towards the end of 2023? Let me scroll down on the channel here. Slightly confusing guide to the Panzer IV. Oh, building my best tank yet in Sprocket. A lot of those videos. Tank Enthusiast Reacts to Hell Let Loose. A lot of that stuff was happening around this time, and that's where you see that spike. So, again, if we took, and this is, right here, this is the start of 2024. So if you took this block of 2023, I mean, we literally went from, a lot of people forget, in 2023, I went from 2,000 subs to 29,000 subs. I mean, literally, like, more than times 10 my subscriber count in one calendar year. So 2023 was just an insane year for this channel in terms of just pure growth, subscriber growth. We had multiple videos that broke 100,000 views in 2023. Literally an insanely massive year. Like 2023 really was just a massive green arrow. But as you could see by the charts, 2024 is still a part of that larger green arrow. Like, again, it's not like again, if you take these 2 years all together, this is still great, massive growth. You can notice that there's a noticeable bump in subs whenever I upload. There's a little bump right here, a little bump right here, some bumps over here, some bump over there when I upload, which, yeah, who would have thought? So again, coming back to, I just didn't upload enough this year, but when I did, again, people liked them, they got decent views, and the channel has been growing. So I have a little bonk. What this tells me is that people are still enjoying the content, the channel is very healthy, and I just need to make more content. That's literally it. Like, I just need to get my my upload schedule back into shape. I think 2024 was just a weird year for me in a lot of ways, both personally, but then also personally and professionally, and then also with the channel. And I think being a YouTuber is still something that I'm trying to get into the swing of things for. And being able to really commit myself to the grind is something that I struggled with a lot this year. So my upload schedule, as you guys know, was just all over the place this year. But again, like, when I did upload, the videos did great and people are loving it. So it's just a matter of, again, it's purely my fault. Last year was insane. This year was good. So comparing, like, we were never going to meet 2023. That year was just genuinely, utterly diabolical. So 2024, it's good. But it was not as good as last year, and that's hard to beat. That is really hard to beat. And then, of course, as of making the slideshow, we are about to hit 40K, just about to. So within 2024, we gained basically on the dot 10,000 subs, which I think that's great. That's awesome. In 1 year, 10,000 new subscribers. I'll take that. I will take that any day of the week. That's great. Found you through your Sherman video. Thank you, Water Liquor. This channel needs Soviet doctrine of mass production. I don't think we need to quite go that far, but definitely more. Watch you since I've been wondering if that's a real Lee Enfield. Yes, it is. This is a real Lee Enfield. And in case you're interested, I have shot it before on the channel. You can find footage of me shooting this gun. It's one of my really old videos when I first bought this Enfield and I talked about it. It's one of my earliest videos. But yes, this is a real Lee Enfield. It actually functions. It's a real gun. I live in America, so I can get my hands on real guns incredibly easily. I just walked into a gun store and bought that. I was 19, and they just, no questions asked, gave it to me. I mean, I had to go through a background check and da-da-da-da, but yes, it's a real gun. It actually shoots .303 British. A proud semi-OG Edda watcher way before the Battlefield 5 video. Yeah, Minus, you really are an OG, and I appreciate it. There's still a good couple of OG viewers that are hanging around, and I love that. To see, I mean, Overcooked Corn. Overcooked Corn is literally, I don't think he's in chat at the moment, but Corn, if you're watching this VOD, I feel like I don't say it enough to you, but I really do appreciate how long you stuck around, and also, like, you've just been a great guy and a great sport throughout all of just being a fan of the channel, and I really appreciate you, dude, because you are. I think Overcooked Corn was subscriber like 352. Like he has the number. He has it memorized. Overcooked Corn was within my first 1,000 subs on this channel, which is insane that anyone, like, I don't know if Corn's the only guy who's still around from that early on, but it's insane that anyone from pre-1,000 subs is still around. That's awesome. So I can't ask for anything more than that. Even just one guy. That's incredible. But a lot of people, a lot of my moderators, a lot of my original patrons and stuff, you guys are all like longtime fans. And even if you are like part of the Battlefield 5 spike, I said it at the time too, and I'll say it again, like, that's nothing to be ashamed of. Like, it's just pure statistics. Like, statistically, chances are you found me through Battlefield 5 video, which ain't nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean you're not an OG. If you're subscribed, if you like the videos, if you enjoy them, and more so than any of the numbers stuff, subscribes and likes and views, if you enjoyed them, if you watch them and you go, I learned something, and this guy is good at what he does, that's literally all I want. That's all I care about, really. So as long as that's happening, I'm happy. Troj Doge in chat, what's up, Troj? 2025, the year of Spaced Out. Dude, if we can bring back the Spaced Out podcast, I'm in. I'm so in. I'm so down. Please, 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 please. If you was here before December 27th, 2023, 2022, take a drink. Yes, that wasn't the Girls in Panzer video, was it? 2022. Oh, goodness. Oh, that was Battlefield 5, wasn't it? Yeah, because Battlefield 5 was technically uploaded right at the end of 2022. God, that video is at 250,000 views. My God. Wow. That's crazy. That is so insane. Let's hope for 100K by December. Let's hope for 50K. Let's keep ourselves... let us keep ourselves grounded in reality. Found you either from Battlefield 5 or the GTA video. That's an interesting one. That's cool. Loved your M3 League rant vid. Thank you very much, RH Boomer. I'm very, very proud of that project. I'm glad people are enjoying it. And if you were a tank member, what role would you pick and what tank would you pick? I would like to be a driver of a Sherman. I think that'd be amazing. Good luck on 2025. Thank you all, thank you all very much. Yeah, I think I'm hyped for 2025, but we're going to talk about that, right? So if we go to... There we are. Here's the next slide of patrons. Of course, I need to have at least one slide talking about the patrons. Patreon is still bumping, man. You guys are fucking awesome. Seriously, I can't talk about it enough how much you guys really help out what I do here. Like, you guys literally fund everything. Ad revenue is fine and all. The sponsorships are really good. And you guys are like the fantastic foundation, the assist, bro. You guys are so good. I mean, you have pretty much single-handedly funded my entire firearms collection. I mean, basically all this is, I mean, not all of it, but a good chunk of this is all because of the patrons. Oh yeah, and that's also... So, a good chunk of this is all from the patrons, so thank you. You guys, again, patrons and also donations in stream help me get ammo to shoot all these guns for content, that will be a video that you guys will get soon, I promise. Soon, trademark. So you guys have been immensely important in keeping everything going. The Patreon Private Tank Island is still going strong. Not super active, but definitely, like, when you guys are down there and we're having combos, it's really fun. And great little shout out I'm Depressed for his little propaganda. Keep him yapping. March 20th, my birthday. It's true. You guys, like, seriously, you are a massive... you guys are a massive help to this whole thing. Found you through your Sherman vid and I stuck around. Thank you so much, image_JPEG. That's really cool. Like, did you find it when the Sherman vid came out, or is it just you kind of you saw it like a little while later? Because the Sherman video was like the third video I ever made on my channel. That is you are a real OG for that one. But yeah, I just want to, obviously I needed a slide dedicated to my patrons. Thank you guys so much for just doing what you guys do, for giving me your hard-earned cash, thinking that what I do is worth it. And you guys are seriously, like, making a massive impact on my ability to do what I do here on this channel. So I had to have at least one slide talking about that. After I joined after the Battlefield video, but it was through a friend. I didn't even realize it was your video that I watched until someone mentioned it. Oh, that's so cool. Found edit through the Halo tank review. That's a very interesting one. That's a really cool, like, sidestep. That's fun. After my Discord account got banned, I remade one on June 21st, 2022, and I rejoined your server immediately, meaning I'm a pre-June 22 viewer. I'm an OG. Oh, sorry, Minus. Do you not have the role? You should. Wish I had money for Patreon. If you don't have money for Patreon, again, just watching the videos, liking, subscribing, all the statistical stuff, that's a big help too. I'm here since making the best tank in Sprocket. Oh, dude. That is a great video. I'm very proud of that one. Person to start my obsession with Sprocket. Oh, that's so cool. Edda, where was that keeping yapping image? You should post that in announcements. It was posted, I think it was posted in Bullietta, I think. I'd have to find it. Now then, what's next? We've done all the year before, and we've talked about everyone who's made this channel possible. What possibly could there be next? Nothing. It's a blank slide. No, I'm just kidding. The grind never stops. It literally doesn't. There will be more videos. Obviously, I'm not just gonna, this is not my announcement that I'm quitting YouTube. I have plenty of goals for, sorry, I wrote 2024 here. I meant to put 2025 there. That was a typo. So I left a little blurb there to let you guys know that I meant to say 2025, but I accidentally typed in 2024, so it's okay. But my goals for 2025, big goals. I don't even know where I don't even know what I'm gonna, can I do this? So, goals for 2025. More just everything, really. More tank documentaries. Obviously, I'm not just going to stop doing that. That is a video format that I'm really proud of and really happy with. So there will be more of those. Currently, I'm continuing to do what I talked about throughout the year, which was I want to hone in on one specific nation and become kind of like a mini expert on that nation and in that era, and then move to another nation. So not so much of bouncing around between, like, we'll do a video about German tanks, and then we'll do a video about Soviet tanks, and then we'll do a video about American tanks. Like, I want to focus in for my own personal, like, research and becoming more well-versed in a nation, so I feel like I'm a better educational resource, I suppose. I don't want to say I'm a better authority, because I don't like to call myself an authority on anything, but that is kind of what I'm getting at. I'd like to be more well-rounded in a specific nation so that I can actually really feel like I'm an authority on that before I move to do videos about other countries' tanks. So we're going to continue with American tanks. That's going to be like kind of my theme, I think, for 2025, at least for a good chunk of it. America in the interwar is kind of my personal favorite era and nation to study, so I'm going to do a lot of that, I think. And then if throughout 2025 I make enough documentaries to where I feel like I've covered that era sufficiently, then we can move on to the next nation and the next era. But for now, yeah. So in the really near future, and probably for most, if not all of 2025, expect American tank history, more geared towards interwar, but eventually I will obviously run out of interwar, and then we'll go into World War II again, and I'll cover really deep stuff. I also have plans for other tank series. Like, I've been working with someone through Discord right now to do sort of like a Tanks 101 type series where we describe the fundamentals. Because so many of us, we judge tank history and we talk about, like, the tanks, our favorite tanks, and how they performed in World War II. Like, we say, like, oh, like, Tiger transmission bad, or Panther final drive's bad. But, like, does anyone here actually know how the Tiger's transmission actually works? Like, we've all said these things, but do any of us actually understand it? So I want to create a video series going over, like, the basic auto mechanics of a tank. Like, what does a reliable tank transmission look like, and how can you tell them apart? Like, how can you look at the schematics of a Tiger's transmission and be like, yeah, I see what went wrong here. I see what is the weak point here. So kind of like a 101 crash course, like an educational course of, like, let's do, like, auto mechanics 101. Let's learn what an engine does, what a transmission does, what a clutch does, what drive gears do, and how those relate to tanks. How about what are all the different steering systems on tanks, like clutch braking versus dual transmission, a double differential versus a traditional differential. What are the benefits, what are the pros and cons, and how was some tanks better at it than others? Suspension systems, and then moving into metallurgy and armor manufacture, and what is a good tank, what is good quality tank armor compared to shit quality tank armor, and what nations were good at it and what nations were bad at it, and how did that affect World War II, and how did that affect tanks? And then fire control systems, stabilization, ballistics. What makes a good tank gun? Like, why is the 75 actually a better gun than the 76 in certain applications or other stuff like that? Basically, Tanks 101 is let's learn the fundamentals of auto mechanics, metallurgy, and ballistics so we can truly get a fundamental understanding of were certain tanks good or not. Rather than just saying, I read in this book that Tiger was unreliable and then just left it at that. Well, let's find out what was unreliable and why. That's what I really want to know. That really niche minutia is obviously what I'm best at, and so I want to do that. So I've been doing a lot of like recent learning of auto mechanics for that. So yeah. Okay, more live streams. Obviously, that's still going to happen. More guns, because I failed to do that. I failed to go through on that promise last year in 2024. I promised more gun stuff in 2024. I only made one video about my guns, and I have collected a lot more guns since then. That some of these I don't have. Like, some of you guys don't even know. Like, I have a World War I 1917 Tula Arsenal Mosin right there, an M91, an original M91 World War I Mosin. I haven't made any videos about that, or even know, you guys don't even know it exists. I have a lot of really cool guns that I haven't even really properly announced. So I want to make more gun content, not becoming like a Forgotten Weapons, but kind of giving it my own little shot, you know, trying to do a little bit of a Forgotten Weapons type thing. Because I think that's fun. And I think there's a lot we can learn about tank stuff through firearms. Like, I think firearms and tanks have actually a lot of similarities that you notice a lot of the same patterns. In firearms development with tank development. Can we see a few guns? I will show you guys later, assuming it's not going to get me banned off streaming, because that potentially could happen. Captain Q-Tip, show us now. Hold on. We're going to do an official Q&A once I go through this. Let me finish this up, and then I'll go back and I'll read more chat. Sorry, guys. Okay. Tank Enthusiast Reacts. That is obviously not going anywhere. I'm currently working on Tank Enthusiast Reacts to War Thunder. That's going to happen. That's definitely going to happen. And then we're going to continue Tank Enthusiast Reacts to more games. I've had Foxhole on my list for a long time. That series is not going anywhere. Also expanding Tank Enthusiast Reacts into other mediums. So reacting not just to video games, but also movies and other things. I've been wanting to do that for a while, but I just haven't, and I'm stupid for not doing it. Playing tank games I've never played before. Obviously, that's going to keep happening. Sorry. Here. We're covering this half for now. Playing tank games that I've never played before. Again, doing like I found this wacky tank game on Steam. Let's play it and see how good it is. I want to do more stuff with that. The Virginia vlog, for those of you who don't know, because I really didn't make that much of a hoopla about it when it happened, but this past summer, for those of you who watched the Canada vlog on Edit320 on this channel, a while ago I went to Canada with 3 really good friends of mine, and it was an amazing experience. We went to a bunch of different tank museums, and I made a whole video series about it. Actually, if I can show you guys, I mean, I can just put right here. Here we go. Here it is. On my channel. Oh, hi. On my channel, right here. Canada vlog. There's episode 5, episode 4, episode 3. Episode 2 was right here. Episode 1. So me going to Canada and exploring a bunch of really cool and interesting Canadian tank museums and a bunch of cool tank content. Well, this past summer, I had those 3 Canadian friends come down here to Virginia, and I gave them the American experience. I showed them all the really cool stuff that we have here in Virginia, and it was a whole another like week-long vacation, and there's a lot of really good content that I got out of it. I vlogged the whole thing. So once again, we're going to get another Edit320 travel experience vlog with all those guys down here in my home state of Virginia, including a bunch of really cool shooting guns for the first time because they're Canadians and they don't have rights in their own country. And then a bunch of plane stuff, actually. This trip was much more plane themed, whereas when I went up to Canada, it was tanks all day long. When they came down here, we went to a lot of plane museums. So if you guys are like big plane geeks, plane nerds, the Virginia vlog is going to be, I think, really cool for you guys. And even I became like a bit of a plane nerd during that trip because I was like, wow, I actually kind of get it. I kind of see the hype around here. Like, dude, seeing a Catalina in real life, oh my God. I don't want to spoil much, but yeah, it was a really cool experience. So I'm definitely going to make a vlog out of that. So that's coming in 2025 because I should have done that earlier, but whatever. Finishing my model kit. For those of you who don't know, I've been working on a model kit, I say recently, but really like over the course of like a year, more than a year. Actually, since I went to Canada, I've been working on my own little model Panzer III, and I've been working on that, and it's been really good. I actually just made some progress on it yesterday, so I want to make that into and I've been recording my process of making that model, so I'll have like a little modeling weekly / night shift style mock friends and making a little model. It's gonna be cool. I want to make a video like that. Girls in Panzer analysis video / videos. Again, something I promised this year. I promised it last year, but then didn't deliver on it in 2024. So I will be doing it in 2025. Yeah, I want to do like how the hell do I forget? Potential history. A potential history style breakdown of Girls in Panzer and all the historical references in the show. I want to do my own take on that. So I think Autistic Nerd also has done something similar. So not to say that there's not a million of those already out, but I want to have my own go at it. Because I absolutely love Girls in Panzer. Oh, and just more additional Girls in Panzer content. Like, I actually genuinely have, I have a couple of instances where I was just sitting alone at night and I just had inspiration hit me and I just open Google Docs and start typing out. I've started a script on why Maho Nishizumi is my favorite character in Gup and what I really love about her character and why I think she's the best character in the show. So I have 2 or 3 paragraphs started of a script on that, of why Maho is my favorite character. I think there's a lot of really interesting, maybe not video essays, but I think there's a lot of interesting Gup content that I can make analyzing the show or just talking about why I love the show so much. And specifically why Maho is my favorite character. Should I watch Gup? I think you should. In chat, no name. I think you should. If you're willing to get past the fact that it's anime, I think you should watch it. I think it's fun. I think it's really lighthearted. The tank stuff is genuinely good. Yeah, I think if you're willing to get past the fact that it's a bunch of high school girls in anime format, if you're willing to get past that, I think it's good. I think it's worth watching. How long is it? It is 1 season, 12 episodes, and each episode is 20 to 30 minutes. So, add that up. And then there's the movies afterwards, but, you don't have to watch those if you don't want to. I'm not going to force you. But if you do like it, there's also movies that you can watch afterwards, a bunch of movies. Anyways, we'll get to a proper Q&A in a minute. More stream cut-ups / footage I have no reviews for being made into their own videos. I have a bunch of, just backlog footage of stuff that I think I can make into videos. For example, for Tank Enthusiast Reacts to Gates of Hell Ostfront, there was an entire, I shit you not, 2-hour-long rant about all the different, the evolution of the Sherman, and identifying, Gen 1 versus Gen 2 Shermans and why they did all things, explaining the composite Sherman and the race for the large hatches, and I literally, went on a 2-hour-long rant, and I had to cut it all out. So that could be literally just a video on its own. So stuff like that, I actually have a lot of, and I think would be cool to turn into videos. The hunt for the IS-2 that we did on livestream in Tank Mechanics Simulator, that should definitely be its own video. I can think of a couple other moments where I went on little tank rambles during a stream that I think would be cool to grab those and re-upload them on the channel as their own videos. I think those would be cool. And that kind of fits into more short and sweet videos. Again, not wasting my time on these massive projects or just taking too long to make stuff. I need to start getting my shit together, really. So I'll try making maybe some more short and sweet stuff, 10, 15, 20-minute stuff that's quicker and gets more of a concise, smaller point across, rather than having a video that describes the entire life of the M3 Lee all in 3 hours. Better stuff like that. And of course, all that cycles into better upload schedule and more consistency. I'm thinking maybe bi-monthly. I think that's kind of what I'm thinking of. Every other week we get a video. That's if I can meet that goal consistently for the better part of a year, then I think I can really start going faster and getting more. I need to get into a schedule rather than just constantly bouncing back. I have a bit of a problem of I'll upload once a week for a month, maybe even 2 months, and then I'll go silent for 3 or 4 months. And then I'll come back and then upload weekly for a month or 2 and then go silent for 3 or 4 months. And I need to stop doing that. So I think making videos and then stretching them out longer is what I think would be a smarter decision. Sorry, skipping that little track. So yeah, that's basically what I want to do. So these are my goals. Screenshot it, do whatever you want. Goals 2025. Cool, thanks. And that is the end of my presentation. I would show you my mouse, but it's a wired mouse. I can't drag it high enough. But I'm clicking, and there's no more slides. So that is the 2024 year in review in terms of the presentation. So to recap, this year was not, the growth was not as dramatic as 2023, because how the fuck could it be? But also, like, the channel's still doing great. We're still getting good views. Things are good. People are enjoying it. We got plenty of subs. It's been a good year, and I've been really happy with it. Other than the fact that the problems that I've had with this year have all been on me, of not uploading more and not committing, being a bit too. Whoa. No, OBS, don't crash. Hello? Are you guys okay? Oh, my webcam froze. What happened? Hold on, guys. I thought OBS crashed. What happened? Did it, look at that. What a freeze frame. Look at that. Hold on, chat. Let me, grab onto this. What happened? What an odd thing to have happened. That's never happened before. Hold on, if I turn it off. Hello. That was weird. I've never had that happen before. Anyways, yeah, so channel's doing great. And yeah, I want to upload more frequently, and that's about that. So, let me close that out, really close that out, and bring this up, and I'm all yours. Hi. So, I don't really have much to do today other than work on some other stuff later in the night, so this is the open Q&A. We can talk for as long as we want now, and you guys can ask all your little questions. You can talk about me, you can talk about you, talk about the channel, you can do whatever you want. I'm scrolling up in chat because there's a bunch of interesting questions that I kind of saw but skipped over because I was in the middle of the plans for 2025. But I saw, sorry, hold on. You should talk about Aces and Armor, Cold Wings. I have a lot to say about Aces and Armor, actually. I may or may not be assisting that game with development. Oops. No, I'm allowed to talk about it. Yeah, Aces and Armor, up and coming tank game. I am one of the historical advisors for that game. The guy the owner of the company that's making the game, the head developer, Alexandros, reached out to me fairly early on in development, and he was like, "Hey, your Panzer IV video was amazing. Big fan of your channel. I am making an up and coming tank game, and we've been looking for people who can be historical advisors, and I think you would be a great fit for the project. Are you interested?" And I was like, fuck it, why not? Like, sure, like, this would be so great. This would be so much fun. So I've been doing it. I've been helping them a little bit. They definitely have other guys in there who are, like, doing a bit more work than I am. I'd say when they first brought me on, I was really involved. If you've seen the dev vlogs that they've had for Aces and Armor when they were showing off the Panzer IV model, those original Panzer IV models was pretty much all off my notes. They like went to me and they were like, which version of, actually literally Alexandros asked me, what variant of the Panzer IV should we model? This is mid 1942. What's the earliest possible variant that we can model that would still make sense? And then we're gonna do evolutions of thereafter. And I told them the Panzer IV E. Well, the D would have made sense as well, but I thought the E. And then, so the reason the Panzer IV in Aces and Armor is a Panzer IV E is because of me, because they asked me and I said that would be a good one to model. And then they've modeled it off of a lot of my notes. The T-34 that they're currently modeling for the game is a T-34-76 mid-1942 production from Factory 112. And again, they asked me, they said, what variant of the T-34 should we model? And I went and I looked through all the different factory numbers, and I said, I think the 112 should be really cool because there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with it. Because Factory 112 was one of the few factories that actually, when they started production of the T-34, there were not enough V2 engines going around. So the Factory 112 was actually producing T-34s with the original M17 engine, the engine that was in the BT-5 and the early BT-7s, or well, the normal BT-7s, before they did BT-7M to do the V2. Anyways, so it's a gasoline engine, the M17 engine, actually a ripoff of a BMW engine, interestingly enough. And then right around 1942, they finally get enough V2s going, and they make the changeover to the V2 engine, the diesel engine. But I was like, hey, because they also wanted to know, like, they want upgrade paths for the tanks in the game. So when they were asking me like what tank should we add, I wanted to pick models of tanks that had cool and realistic historical evolutions. So one of the modifications for that T-34 in Aces and Armor is going to be to research the V2 engine. It's going to start with the M17 and then you research the V2. And the reason that is in the game is because of me. I hate to be like taking credit, but yeah. So I've been involved in the development of that game, and I'm very hyped for it because I really like what they're doing with it, and I think the vision is really cool, really sound. So, anyways, yeah, Aces and Armor. I will definitely be talking about that game when I get a build of it to play with. So yes, let's see. When's the Spookston collab coming? Eventually. I would like to get in words with Spookston. That is currently not like in the works. Like him and I aren't talking or anything, but I'd like to be. Like I think him and I could do a pretty cool video. People have asked about Spookston collabs a lot, and yeah, I think he's on my list of creators that I would like to collab with. All right, I'm gonna scroll back down to the bottom and I'm gonna get to you got like questions that people are asking right now. Sorry. So if you asked a question earlier and I missed it, feel free to repost it. What's your favorite tank game you could recommend to most of your audience? Favorite tank game that I could recommend to most of my audience? That's an interesting one. I don't want to say War Thunder. Like I have like a fundamental. I don't want to say War Thunder. What's another like tank game that I really like? I mean, honestly, Tank Mechanics Simulator is fine. I think it's great. There's a couple things wrong with it, but overall, like, I don't know. I've had a lot of fun playing it. I think especially for me, like, being the engineering and mechanics of tanks is something I'm really, really interested in. For me, Tank Mechanics Simulator is so cool. Yeah, when's the Spookston collab gonna drop? Yeah, that'll, I mean, I don't want to say the ball's in his court, but I mentioned it before in a previous stream, but the reason why Red Wrench and I were able to do a collab is because him and I had established a rapport early on where I left a comment on one of his videos, and he replied. He was like, "Holy shit, Edit 320, like, I'm a big fan." And then him and I met up in Discord, and him and I like did the Spider-Man pointing meme, like, "I'm a huge fan of your content." And he was like, "No, like, I'm a big fan of you." And I was like, "Dude, like, I'm a big fan of you. Like, this is crazy." And him and I both had like a little like fangirling moment. And then obviously that was like, dude, like, we have to collab on something. So if me and Spookston can have a situation like that, that would be awesome. What will your next video be about? It's the most likely video to come out immediately next is probably Tank Enthusiast Reacts to War Thunder. After that, I'm going to be working on... I've been working on a multitude of projects. The next upcoming clump of videos, I can't give you an exact order because I'm kind of working on all of them at once. Definitely Tank Enthusiast Reacts to War Thunder. Shooting My Guns videos. Girls in Panzer. Historical analysis. Tank Enthusiast Reacts to Battlefield 5 Revisited. This is not like farming views. I genuinely want to redo that because there's a lot of problems in my Tank Enthusiast React, my original Battlefield 5 video, that I really want to revisit that on my own. I personally want to revisit that and make corrections to that video. And also just, I think there's a lot of stuff in that game that I didn't talk about that I think is worth talking about. I think there's a lot of gameplay stuff in Battlefield 5 that I didn't even mention, but it's totally worth mentioning. So I think definitely that. Oh, Battlefield 1. I need to break into World War 1. I got to do a Battlefield 1. Oh, I would want to do a, I think, a video essay on why I love Battlefield 1 so much is probably going to be a thing that I would like to do. It's not so much tank history related, but just talking about why the fuck I love Battlefield 1. That's probably something that'll happen, but not soon. That's more in the distant. Yeah, don't recommend War Thunder. You're going to get people addicted. I should not. Why do you hate naval history? It's just lame. I just think naval history is just boring as fuck. Like, there's just nothing interesting about it to me. And that has naturally evolved into this meme of, I hate boats. Yeah, never recommend War Thunder? Yeah, no, I won't genuinely. Tank Mechanics Simulator is my official recommendation. Hey, Edda, answer this if you know what tanks Bulgaria bought in World War II. What do you think of the tanks Bulgaria got? Do you think it was a good decision by Boris III? I don't know exactly all the tanks that Bulgaria got. I only know that they got their hands on some Panzer IVs. That's pretty cool. That's pretty much all I know. Have you ever tried Call to Arms Gates of Hell Ostfront? Yes, I love that game. It's a great game. I'm a Men of War Assault Squad 2 like OG. I loved Men of War Assault Squad 2. Rob's Realism mod is the best mod ever. So when they did Gates of Hell Ostfront, it's like, oh, they're going back to World War II. Like, I was really hyped for that. And I think it is a worthy successor. What do you think will be your first model kit to do on stream? So once I'm finished, the current model kit I'm building is a Panzer III. Once I'm done with the Panzer III, I have an Abrams kit that I want to put together. It's an original M1 Abrams kit from like 1985. I think it has like 1985 like sticker on the bottom. I want to build that, and I think we could probably try doing that one on stream. I think it'd be fun, especially with all the stuff that I've learned from making this Panzer III kit. Not a question. I first found you on December 25th, 2022. I saw one of the Sprocket videos. Later on the 27th, a day after the Battlefield 5 video, I got recommended the Christie video. Oh, wow. And then I joined the Discord. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, the Christie video, man, that's a tank documentary style video that deserves a revisit, especially if I'm going to cover American tank history in the interwar. Revisiting Walter J. Christie, that's got to happen, because, I mean, what a story. Just what a fucking story. What's your opinion on the MBT-70 project based on how it looked? I think it looked not too bad. I think it was a worse idea than... Like, the tank itself didn't look that bad, but as an abstract... Like, what it was, I think it was bad. Like, it was not a good tank. I think there's a reason why it didn't go through. Go Navy? Okay. Okay, Troj. Okay, buddy. Look, good for you, but not for me. Have you seen the Starship variant of the M60... A2. Well, the M60A2 is the Starship, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah, Snubnose 152. Yeah, I saw one of those in real life. There used to be one of those here in Virginia. There used to be a museum open called the AAF Museum. I think it was like the American Armored Forces Museum in Danville, here in Virginia. The museum has unfortunately closed, but when it was open, I went there and they had a Starship there, and I got to see one in real life, and it is a very cool tank. Also, there's a Starship in the Armor and Cavalry collection down in Georgia. So, and I've seen that like twice. So I've been there twice. So I've seen that as well. Obviously it's kind of in my opinion, it's a bit of an ugly tank, but it's a really interesting time capsule of like all of the most popular tank thinking of the time. Of like, hey, small turret, auto loader, ATGM, like replacing the main cannon with an ATGM, like the M60A2, the Starship, was basically like a condensation of like all the wacky and popular ideas of the time. It's an interesting time capsule of what tank thinking was like at the time. But obviously it had no future. I mean, not no future, but its future was limited. Because I think replacing your main cannon with an ATGM is just a bad idea. And I think everyone else agreed with that too after they saw what they did in the Cold War. Squad tank enthusiast rack stream before GTA 6? No, probably not. We're gonna get Half-Life 3 before tank enthusiast reacts to Squad. Any cool tank facts? Yeah, lots. Hold on, I want to read more questions before I drop that. That's a very broad question. If you had to participate in an armed conflict as commander of a tank, what would it be? Well, obviously an Abrams. I think I'd want to be in an Abrams. M1 kit, my beloved. Yeah. The M1 is so underrated. I think it is epic. Edit, what's your opinion on Erica from GUP? I watched Girls in Panzer with my sister. I wanted to introduce her to it because she's like a big art nerd and a big like animation nerd. So she was like, I'm down to watch just any animated shows. Like I want to see all that. And so I watched Girls in Panzer with her. Also, she was curious because she's like, I know it's a show that you like and you talk about it all the time. So like, I want to watch it with you. So her and I watched it, and like it's as of this moment, it is my most recent viewing of Girls in Panzer, and this was like 2 or 3 months ago, maybe 4 months ago, and I forgot how much of a bitch Erica is. Like Erica's actually like a piece of shit. Like she's such an asshole. Like I kind of forgot about that. I don't know. I like her. I think she's like a fun character. I think she's like a fun asshole, but also like kind of just generally a bitch. But her arc in Das Finale is like, you know what? You know, maybe she deserves a little bit of a break. But yeah, in the original show, she's a real dickhead. Best creation by Discord, really proud of them. Where do I post them? Sorry, what about your Sprocket creations? There is a channel. If you join the Discord and you grab the associated role, there's a channel in the Discord called Sprocket, and you can just upload your Sprocket designs to there if you'd like. People can look at them. Edit, please read my question. I want to know more about Richmond. Oh, sorry, Striker. Funny Tank Man, what does a street from the old part of Richmond typically look like? Ooh, you're talking about Shockoe Bottom and or by the canal. Hold on, I got a great spot for you. There's a place in Richmond. There's a pizza place in Richmond called Bottoms Up Pizza. And it is down in the old, like, canal area of Richmond. Bottoms Up Pizza, the restaurant is located right underneath these railroad tracks, these old railroad tracks that go over the restaurant. And so every now and then when a train passes, like you're in the restaurant and a train passes over and like the whole restaurant shakes, like it's so cool. Bottoms Up is such a W. It's my favorite pizza in Richmond. It's not objectively the best pizza in Richmond, but it's my favorite. When I was a kid, we went there all the time. Yeah, here are great, here I'll pull up great little photos of Bottoms Up. Woo. Opera GX just shat itself for a second. That was odd. My camera okay? My camera's okay. Yeah, let me show you guys. Oh, hold on, I gotta move this. Hold on, I went full screen on. Oh my god, and then I lost the photo. Oh my god, I'm so dumb. Okay, here we go. And then grab this, and then move you over here, and then desktop, and then here you go. That's like on the balcony of Bottoms Up. That's like on the balcony of Bottoms Up, so you can see it. There's this train station, and the train tracks run like right over the restaurant. But yeah, this is pretty classic of like downtown, like old style Richmond. It's a lot of old like textile mills and like old factory stuff that they turned into restaurants and office buildings and apartment complexes. This is a really cool part of Richmond called Scott's Addition. Scott's Addition is literally like, it's all like old like tobacco mills and shit that they have turned into like apartment buildings and bars. It's a really cool place to go and get a drink. Also, Main Street is going to be great. Anyone on Main Street is cool. Here's a photo of outside of Bottoms Up. And you guys can see like the brick road, the really cool brick road down in Shockoe Bottom, that area. It's all like brick roads. What if I do like Shockoe Bottom, Richmond? I should look up Shockoe Bottom, Richmond, VA. You can probably see. Yeah. Yeah, this is it. Yeah, this is like one of the big strips at Shockoe Bottom. Yeah, this is like downtown. Right here. This is all, you can see like old original brick roads and all these old buildings. Richmond is a surprisingly small city considering it's like the capital of Virginia and has a very, very rich history. But yeah, also Monument Avenue also is all like old brick stuff. But yeah, I'd recommend if you're visiting Richmond, going out to there's the big old train station. Yeah, here's a really old train station of Richmond. Where's a good picture that's not like 240p? This is like it's like 240p. I don't want that. Anyway, yeah, Richmond is pretty cool. Oh, here's a great. Oh, this is a great photo. I think I've actually been down here. This is a great photo right here. This is really cool. Yeah, so old brick roads, old like colonial. It's all colonial era. Like it's all old stuff. This isn't the whole city. This is specifically like Shockoe Bottom. Scott's Addition looks a little bit like this sometimes, not really. But anyways, there's still a lot of like really modern stuff here in Richmond. So it's not all like old colonial shit, but Richmond, it's a great city. I love it here. I think this is a cool place. Some people would disagree, but I love it here. So anyway, that was a really long ramble about Richmond. I'm gonna scroll back up to that. Please read my question. I'm gonna go back down and try to go quickly because a lot of people have uploaded or have asked more questions since. And I'm a small content creator, and because I don't want to only post War Thunder content, I was wondering if I can make a video building you a tank based off your favorite tank type and design. Yeah, sure. Reach out to me in DMs or ping me on the Discord, and we can talk about that. Ayo, Gup talk. Yeah, we can engender an entire hour-long conversation on Gup if we really want to, but not everyone wants that. We might leave that for later. How do I get the role? Go into there's a channel on the Discord called Reaction Roles, and grab that. If you just joined the Discord, okay, go into the rules channel, and in rules, there is a message at the bottom that says, "Thank you for reading our rules. Please click here and react to this message with the thumbs up emoji to acknowledge the rules and that you will follow them." Once you've clicked that, the whole Discord will open up for you. And then once you do that, you can go into the reaction roles channel and you can grab roles based on all the different stuff you want to do, like all the different communities you want to interact with on the Discord. So please do that first. What's your opinion on the M22 Locust? It's very cool. It's a very, very neat solution to a very, very niche problem. And it didn't really work for what it was designed for, but it's still, again, like it's a cool little time capsule of like, this is something that they tried to do in World War II. And that's pretty cool. What's your opinion on the Hoi 4 tank designer? I haven't used it myself, but it's pretty cool that they added that to the game. It's pretty cool that they had such a such a big feature added to the game for the sake of tank people, tank nerds. It seems like Hearts of Iron was being like, here you go, tank guys, have a little thang for you, and that's pretty cool. Bottoms up hype, yeah, dude. Joe's in downtown is pretty good too. Yeah, okay. Eating pizza plus trains is an autistic dream. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Bottoms up is a cool place. So they kept the factories, but not the old town center. I think they kept a lot of the old roads. It's a neat little city. It's cool. Richmond, I love Richmond. It's a great little. It's a great city. I love it here. Honestly, I'm glad it's not a bigger city like Nova or Norfolk. Well, Nova is not part of Virginia, in case you're curious. I personally don't acknowledge it as part of Virginia. Nova is its own state that we don't need to talk about. And Norfolk's pretty cool. It's big and it's scary, but it's cool. I was down there for the... Actually, we'll be in Norfolk for the Virginia vlog, so you can check that out. I actually genuinely think the Virginia vlog is going to be like a cool case. Like, the whole point of the Virginia vlog was like, hey, I've got these foreigners, these guys from Canada, coming down, and like they're going to experience Virginia for the first time. So like, what are the big hits that I can... Where are like the big places I can take them to showcase this awesome state that I love so very much, Virginia? And so the Virginia vlog will generally be us hitting what I had considered all the big points in Virginia. So like we go down to Norfolk. We check out a lot of cool museums in Norfolk. We had multiple nights here in Richmond. We went shooting. I took them up to DC. We saw the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum, so you can look forward to that in the vlog. I took them up into the Western Mountains. We went on Skyline Drive. I took them to Luray Caverns. I think that was a really cool place. That was an awesome experience. All bunch of stuff. So that'll be a really cool, like, if you guys are curious about all the cool stuff to see or do in Virginia, that is a cool one. What's your opinion on the M22 Locust? I believe I already answered that. When do you want me to message you? You can message me after stream. I'll respond to you eventually. Edda, now that we know that the M50 Sherman had a heat shell capable of frontally knocking out T-55s, will it finally replace the composite Firefly as your favorite tank? No. I don't care if it can knock out a T-55. Why does that matter to me at all? Composite Sherman looks so sexy. And composite Firefly looks even sexier. M50 looks okay. It's cute, but it's not that cute. And what's your opinion on the M60A3 TTS as seen during Desert Storm? Badass. I think that's... I love taking old things and updating them as much as possible, which I know is literally the M50, and I just said the M50 was cute, but not that cute. But it's on terms of looks. The M50 looks okay, but I do love the concept of modernizing a Sherman as much as you possibly can. In my opinion, and I'm very sorry, Minus, but in my opinion, my preferred and favorite modernized Sherman is the Sherman Repeticionado from Argentina. And I totally mispronounced that, by the way. I definitely did not pronounce that correctly. But the Argentinian updated modernized Shermans, because they're all built off of Fireflies. And indeed, some of them are built off of composite Fireflies. So the Sherman, the Repeticionado, or whatever, however you say it, the Argentinian updated Shermans, some of them are literally the composite Firefly modernized like as much as possible. And that, to me, is sexy as hell. I love that very much. Will you ever do a video focusing on Finland, Poland, or any more obscure country? Yeah, definitely. Part 2 of Tank Enthusiast Reacts to Gates of Hell Ostfront, I talked a lot about Finland. That was like kind of a big piece of that video, was that for the first time on the channel, I wanted to like really kind of cover Finland. I covered France pretty extensively in the Tank Enthusiast Reacts to Postscriptum. I'm actually still really... That's a video that even I go back and rewatch sometimes because I really love the info that I put out in that video, and I think it still holds up. But yeah, for now I'm focusing on the larger nations, and I want to become more well-versed in them, and then later on I'll cover the minor nations. That's sort of the idea that I've had for it. What's your opinion on the Polish TKS with a 20mm autocannon? Cute. Cute as a button. And what if the composite Firefly had a long 76? Will you still like it the same? Yeah. What I like about the Firefly is I like the aesthetic of that long gun in the small Sherman turret. Like, I like that look. Like, even if the original 1942 prototype Shermans with the Quick Fix 76 turret, or Quick Fix 76 gun in the original Sherman turret, the one that the Americans tested and then realized this thing is too cramped and it's not going to fit in this turret, we need to do something else, and abandoned it. Those original Shermans, I think even those look sexy, and the M4A1E6 and the M4A3E4s, the 76 M1 stuffed into the 75 early turret, and then donated out to countries after World War II, like American Lend-Lease assistance to Europe, rebuilding Europe after World War II, giving them tanks, which a normal Sherman 75 with the 76 just thrown in there. I think those are sexy as well. In Kelly's Heroes, the tanks they use in Kelly's Heroes, I think those also look sexy. I just like the longer gun in the smaller turret. I don't know why, but it's very visually appealing to me. So whether it's a 17 pounder or a 76, I think it's sexy either way. Or the 105, like the Sherman, the Repeticionado, the Argentinian ones, they've got an even bigger, like a 105 or something like that. So the cannon doesn't matter. It's the fact that it's the bigger cannon in the smaller turret, the longer barrel in the smaller turret. I like that look. So the gun I'm not too picky on. What's your opinion on the Panzer 38T? It's one of my favorite tanks of all time. I love the look of it. The 38T is one of the most pleasing. I just love it. Its aesthetics. It looks so sexy. I really like it. I think it's a cool little tank. I'd love to know more about it. I actually don't know that much about it. I know a little bit about it, but not enough to be dangerous, I don't think. Yugoslavian Sherman with the IS-2's 122, badass. Badass as shit. Edda hitting the Trump hand movements. So what I like about the IS-2, that's funny. Honestly, Edda, I don't think the Starship isn't that ugly. It just looks derpy. But the nuclear reactor thing that Chrysler made with a turret and track, no hole, that is ugly. Yeah, the Chrysler TV8. I made this for an egg decorating contest at my old job. And it's funny because everyone else at my work was like, oh, that's so cute. You made a little tank turret out of an egg. That's so funny. And then I was like, no, no, no. This is real. This is like scarily accurate. How much they didn't realize. It's all covered in dust now because it sits up on my windowsill. But yeah, I thought this was pretty clever. Shout out Chrysler. Gone too soon. Shout out Detroit Tank Arsenal. Gone too soon. Nice posters. Where'd you get them? Displate. These are all displate. They're like $40 each, by the way, so be careful. But they're really good. They're quality metal posters. They're really nice. I actually do recommend Displate. Hey, I would love a sponsorship by Displate too. Displate and Raycon, please sponsor me because I will actually shill the fuck out of your product because I use your products and they're actually really good, especially Raycon. Raycon, I can't say on stream what I would do to you, but I would please you in many ways if you sponsored me, Raycon, because I actually seriously love your earbuds and I will shill for them, no questions asked. Please go buy Raycons. They're actually, I'm not even getting paid, but go buy Raycons. They're seriously good headphones. I love them very much. What's your favorite AT gun? This might sound weird, but I actually really like the PaK-40. It's just a very pleasing, like it looks very nice, and it was a really good, just like workhorse. It was very effective. It was very good. Yeah, as like a workhorse AT gun, I don't know why, but the PaK-40 stands out to me. I also like the 57, the American Toad 57 is pretty cool too. Because it's like one of the only, the 57 didn't see a lot of success in American service, but as a Toad gun, it was like one of the weird instances where people, the Army actually found it very useful. There weren't very many tanks that they could find reasons to mount it into, because the 76 was just gonna be better anyways, or the 90. But in a towed role, the 57 was uniquely suited for it. And I think that's kind of neat, where that gun just like found this weird niche in like, hey, it's actually, we can't find any other use for it, that's better than anything else, but like it actually holds its own as just a towed gun. What's your opinion on the Croatian AN-2 crop duster biplane turned into a bomber and cargo aircraft used in the 1990s Homeland War? I don't know anything about any of what you just said. I don't know anything about Croatian crop dusters. I don't know anything about bombers or cargo planes that were used in the 1990s Homeland War. I don't even know what the Homeland War was. I'm gonna be quite frank with you. I am very much a tank guy. As soon as you mention planes, that is right over my head. Do you know which tank was the first to use a gas turbine for propulsion? A gas turbine? I mean, I'd say the Abrams, but I'm probably wrong about that. I'm sure someone can say. Again, I don't. After World War II, like I have no idea. But I have to say, I mean, I'd have to guess the Abrams, but you know, I could be wrong about that. Modern tank history is not my forte. Thoughts about the Egyptian T-34/100, aka the T-100? Sounds badass as fuck. What's your favorite M1 variant or upgrade? I don't know. I think the most recent, I think like whatever is like the M1A3, the M1A2. M1A3 is coming very within the next 10 years. We'll get M1A3, which is, I'm all for that. I think that's a great idea. I don't know, M1A2 SEP V3 with like all the bells and whistles. I like with a tank that has like all the bells and every possible bell and whistle attached to it. Like I think they're just like so fat, like over encumbered with accessories. I think for modern tanks that aesthetic actually kind of works for me. And what if the tanks in Advanced Warfare were actually made? Have you seen them? They're a cool design, half walk tank, half walker, half tank, able to transform into a walker, or traditional tanks, also underrated tank design. I've not heard of those. No, I've never seen them, but that's interesting. Frank, I thought you were Edda. Well, my real name is Frank. Abrams is wrong. STRV-103. Oh, the S tank? Oh, cool. I did not know that. That's very cool. Another reason why the S tank is like, the S tank always seems to come up in like weird exception tank designs. The S tank is just, yeah, it's a crazy little tank. What's the most unique World War II tank engine you know? I mean, the Chrysler the A57 multibank is probably like uniqueness. Yeah, probably. Or I don't know about unique. Like what makes a tank engine unique? I guess the Porsche Tiger wasn't specifically, the engine specifically wasn't unique about the Porsche Tiger. It was the fact that it used like the hydroelectric design, right? It was an engine that powered two electric motors. But the engine itself, I don't think was anything crazy to write home about. I guess, yeah, I think, final answer, the A57. The A57 multibank. That I would say in terms of being unique. That's the one that I know of. The most unique one that I know of. If you could make your own Sherman variant, what would you make it out of? You can choose gun, turret, engine, armor, anything and everything. Wow. Sorry. It wouldn't be an Edit 320 stream if I couldn't blow my nose disgustingly into the microphone. That's a really weird question because I don't know. Oh, actually, you know what? Composite Firefly with HVSS. Ooh, that would be hot. With the M4A2 diesel engine. Yeah. That would definitely be it. With Fuel Expedient Jumbo armor on top of the composite hull. Ooh, that would be sexy. I would actually really like that. Bro, missed my question twice? Where's your question? Bro needs to learn more Cold War stuff. I'm not interested in the Cold War. I'm not interested in modern. Like, it's not... I'm interested in the interwar. Like, World War II is great. Pre-World War II is fascinating. And World War I is also pretty cool, and I'm trying to get involved. I'm interested in World War I firearms. I'm interested in interwar / World War II tanks. But yeah, like Cold War is it's just not an era that I think is very interesting for me. And like the tanks of that era don't tickle me the way interwar and World War II tanks do. They just don't. They just don't. And I think you were saying, would you consider playing some Warno? Yeah, isn't that like the Cold War, like Cold War gone hot RTS? Probably not, to be honest. I assume that is the question you were referring to, Comrade Clumsy, when you said MFR always, bro, always misses my question. Would a 122 ATGM work on an M4A3 Sherman? I mean, like, could you physically mount one to a Sherman? Sure, I guess you could. But would it actually be worth it? No, because there's, I mean, honestly, like, there's a lot of other vehicles that exist that would be better for that. Do you mean replacing the main gun? That case, maybe. The only way I could see that being, like, good is if, like, the Sherman, like, you just have a bunch of Shermans lying around. Like an Israel situation where it's like, yeah, like, the Sherman is not at all the most modern tank anymore. It's, you know, the 1950s or whatever. Actually, well, the Sherman was good up until about 55. That's when America retired them, at least. But if you're in a situation where your country has stockpiles of Shermans lying around and you need to do something with them, sure, that's not a bad, like, that wouldn't be a bad use for them to turn them into missile launchers, but, or ATGM launchers, but they're not going to be nearly as fast or maneuverable as, like, any other, as any other vehicle that you could mount them to. But in a case where a Sherman is all you have, I guess. Yeah, I guess so. Dedicated M18 video, that'll happen. That will happen. There was a test in Austria in 1945 where a gas turbine was mounted into a Jagdtiger. That sounds insane. Big if true. Big if true. Could you see from Titans from Titanfall being able to replace tanks? No, I talked about this a lot in not a lot, but I talked about it in the Tank Enthusiast Reacts to Star Wars. And I basically said, like, even if we got walkers working, I don't know if I could totally see walkers, or I guess in this case mechs, right, fully replacing tanks. Like, I think the two would have not fundamentally different roles. Like, they would obviously be doing similar things, but I think there would always be things that a tank could do that a mech couldn't, and I think there would be things that a mech could do that a tank couldn't. Like, they would both be useful in their own ways. How many of any type of Sherman would you need to take out a rat? Dude, like 5,000. A lot. You would need like 5,000 Abrams to take out a rat. Like, that thing is just genuinely so huge. You would need a lot of any kind of tank to kill that thing. That damn thing. Can I tip you the way World War II does? Yes, the Big Kahuna, you can. You missed your chance last night, by the way, to do that. You had your chance, buddy. You missed it. There's 2 books about armored combat during the Russian Civil War, one for each side. Interested? Yes, I'm very interested. That actually does sound really cool. That sounds really, really cool. Can the average Edda viewer see hotter Edda 320? No, unfortunately, the only time we've ever gotten my brother to be on camera is when he was drunk or high. In his normal state of being, he does not like being on camera like that. What about an M4A3E2 17-pounder with HVSS? Yeah, that'd be pretty sexy, I guess. That'd be pretty cool. Actually, yeah, a jumbo with HVSS, just like in general, would be pretty awesome. Modern tanks are usually just copies of each other, Eastern design specifically? I guess so. I wouldn't really know. I'm not a big modern tank guy. M3 Lee with E8 HVSS, hull mounted 76, and a Ford gas and welded. What's your question about that? You just put a question mark at the end of that. Are you asking what my opinion on that would be? It would be, I guess, better than a normal M3, but at that point, why wouldn't you just build a shirt? Like, any kind of, like... And I mentioned this on the Q&A about the M3 Lee. Some people were like, what if you built an M3 but with this, that, the other? What if you modernized it? What if you built an M3 in 1944 or whatever? Or, I mean, the big one that I saw someone ask, and several people said something along those same lines, but like, yeah, what if you did an M3 Lee, but with a 105 in the hull and a 76 on the roof, or even the Sherman 75 on a roof or something like that? the problem you have with any kind of Lee modernization is why wouldn't you just use a Sherman? Like the M3 Lee offered nothing better than even its own contemporaries. Like there was not many reasons to pick an M3 over many other tanks, even of its own type. The big thing the M3 Lee brought to the table, especially specifically in North Africa and in the Pacific as well, was a 75 millimeter gun on a very reliable platform. Pretty much everything else was bad about the M3. So when you say like, what if we did this, that, the other, it's like, why wouldn't you just use a Sherman? The question is almost moot. But in a world where Shermans don't exist, would an M3 with a 105 and like a 76 on the roof be more effective? Theoretically, on paper, yes, but how the fuck are you going to fit enough 105 ammo and 76? There was already enough problems fitting enough 75 and 37 ammo into the M3. The British made several modifications to the ammunition stowage of the M3 to fit more 75 millimeter rounds. Famously, they swapped out like one or two of the 37 millimeter ammo racks in the tank in their Grants for extra 75 stowage, and they end up with like 80 rounds of 37 and 80 rounds of 75, where beforehand it was like 136 of 37 and like 40 something or 50 something, or no, maybe I think 60 something of 75. And then they cut down on 37 and they bring up 75 ammo, and then it's 80 of both. So they were already kind of juggling the ammunition count in that tank to begin with. So now you're adding bigger rounds in the 105 and bigger rounds in a 75 in the M3's roof turret. I also brought up during the M3 Q&A stream that the 37 turret on the roof was already considered almost potentially too heavy for the roof of the M3. On the roof of the M3, you see these big reinforcement ribs. That's what they are. They're these two reinforcement ribs to reinforce the roof of the turret, because they were worried that the turret was too heavy for the roof of the M3. So if you're putting a bigger turret with a bigger gun, more weight on that roof, like now you're getting into really dicey territory on the M3. So yeah, any modernization to the M3 is like, just shoot it down. No, I would say it's probably not worth it, especially when the Sherman existed not long after the M3 did. But it would be cool. Yeah, like an E8 M3 with HVSS, hull-mounted 76, the Ford gasoline, and a welded hull. That would be cool. Hot take, and maybe I need more until I learn more about like the Ford GAA and the other engines in service in the US. But hot take, at this moment, I would take the twin diesel over the Ford GAA. Mostly because it's diesel powered, but also because, I mean, it seems like America was damn impressed with it. They seem to really like it. Is weed legal in Virginia? Yes, it is. Weed is legal in most states by this point, because they federally decriminalized it. So about 2 or 3 years ago, something like that. I don't smoke, so I don't really keep up with the law. I got to ride an M3A3 Grant and M8 Greyhound at Oz Armor Fest 24. Dude, congrats, the Aussie Slob. That's awesome. Was it their newly restored one, the M3A3? Yeah, it was the welded hull diesel Grant. Dude, huge congrats. That's awesome. I saw the restoration for that tank. I'd love to see that tank in real life. It's on my bucket list now to go to Australia to visit that museum, because I love the work they do. The Oz Armor YouTube channel, Workshop Wednesdays, is like one of my, I love that series. I keep up with it. I watch it every day, or whenever there's a new episode. Love it, love it. If you want to wonder which color to use for a Gut Panzer IV-H, the Tamiya TS90 Brown, Japanese self-defense force. Oh, actually, that's cool. It's actually based on a Japanese self-defense force, Japanese defense force paint color scheme. That's actually really cool. I didn't even know that. I thought it was just like a random brown. Edit, is the armor-piercing cap ballistic cap round a real thing? Yeah, it is. Armor-piercing is just the round, and then the first cap for the armor-piercing round is to help it penetrate, to give it one extra layer of material, and to give it a better... Because I think the cap was made of some different material to what the normal AP round was, so like... it's more round, hitting the plate, so a higher chance of penetration. And then the ballistic cap is another cap put on top of all that, and the cap it's a ballistic cap. So ballistics meaning ballistics, the study of how things fly through the air, how projectiles fly. So the ballistic cap is for aerodynamics and accuracy, and then the cap below it is the actual like cap for helping it pen better. And then the armor-piercing round itself is itself a jacketed round with a usually tungsten core, although sometimes not tungsten, depending on how good or bad the economy and industry of the nation was at the time, to penetrate World War II. And that's my understanding of it as at this exact moment. AP round, jacketed round with a tungsten core, and then you put a cap on it so the tip has more penetration power, and then you put a ballistic cap on that so it flies through the air better. It's more accurate, and it flies flatter and stuff like that. Yeah, see, the M3 is a complex 75mm early Sherman with lots of weak points. I mean, yeah, that is literally what it like. You figured it out, bro. Congratulations, you got it. Have you considered looking at Warhammer 40k tanks? Yeah, but the track vehicles, yes, I have. I've been a bit on the grind for Space Marine 2. Me and my buddies finally bought that game and have been playing it. And I'm on the verge of hitting 40,000 subs. So I think that's like, there's no better time. So actually, I should have answered that when people were asking, like, what are upcoming videos on the channel? In addition to, like, Tank Enthusiast Reacts to War Thunder and all the other ones I listed, I should also say I do very soon plan on doing a Tank Enthusiast Reacts to the Warhammer 40k tanks in Space Marine 2. Because, yeah, they're very odd. They're very cool. Cool and odd. What's your favorite gun in your collection? That's really difficult. I like them all for different reasons, to be honest. But probably my all right, I love the number 4 as my first game ever. My first gun ever. The number 4, this is the first gun I ever owned. Immense sentimental value to me. I love this gun. It is one of my most prized possessions. However, I think I'd say, like, if I genuinely had to go to war in either World War I or World War II, well, I guess if World War II is an option, I'd pick a Garand because semi-auto. But, like, okay, if I have to enter a war with a bolt action and any of my guns, if I have to go to war with any of my guns, well, probably the SKS because it's semi-auto. Okay, the SMLE. The SMLE is genuinely, it is so lightweight, it is so handy, 10-round capacity. Honestly, the bolt on it cycles smoother than my number 4, and both of these cycle way smoother than any of my other bolt actions. Actually, the 1903 is not bad at all. But just, like, the recoil isn't nearly as bad. Like, 30-06 and the Soviet, the 7.62x54 rimmed cartridge out of the Mosins kicks decently hard. The 303 kicks, but not nearly that badly. The SMLE is genuinely a rifle that I would totally be okay, like, living with. Like, it is a rifle that it's constantly on my person. I'm either hiking around with it, I'm either fighting with it, or I'm taking care of it. For me, the SMLE. This is honestly, of all my bolt actions, this is an incredible rifle. I really, really like it. The 1903 is also an incredible rifle as a civilian sports shooter. It has a lot of really neat features that, like, going to a target range and plinking rounds at a target range for fun. It has a lot of really neat features, particularly safety features, that are really cool, and I really like it. The 3-position flag safety on it specifically and the magazine cutoff are both really well done, well implemented, and really cool on the 1903. And I do like that rifle quite a lot. It's also super reliable, and I like it a lot as well. But, like, to go to war or to survive the apocalypse or whatever, if my SKS isn't an option, I really like the SMLE, and which I very much was surprised by that because I thought the number 4 would be my favorite, but in that sort of regard, yeah, Workshop Wednesday's peak entertainment. I agree, man. I agree. Yeah, they're planning to restore the Vesp and the Panzer II-C. I saw that video, yeah, when they announced that. So excited, dude. That's going to be so cool. They have such a crazy collection of World War II tanks. And, dude, the fact they have the lineup of, like, Panzer IV, like, D, E, don't they have... No, they don't have an A or a B. That would be impossible. If they had an A, that would be amazing. But no, they have a D and an E. They have an F, don't they? And a G and an H? Their Panzer IV collection is incredible. And they have them all lined up. Like, it's so cool. So cool. I'd love to see that in real life. What do you think about the anime Gates? I've heard a lot of things about it, but I've never actually seen it and know nothing about it. I've heard a lot of people say that, like, I've heard it referenced, like the meme. I've seen and heard about memes of it, but I have no idea what it's actually about or what it is. Would you recommend any of your scale model kits? I mean, the only one that I've built so far is the Panzer III, and I do recommend it. It's been so much fun to put together. Like, as a beginner, it's been a really good kit. It's my first kit ever, and I really like it. It's a Tamiya Panzer III. I think it's a Panzer IIIJ. And did you know that GUP uses shots from the Chieftain's Hatch? So you could theoretically put GUP characters in videos from the Chieftain's Hatch and vice versa. That's awesome. They just took like a screen cap from Chieftain's Hatch and drew it and traced it. That makes a lot of sense. Edit, since the term allies is modern and not used during World War II, what would you have called them if you were a part of the American High Command during World War II? Is that true? I thought allies was a... Is that true? I don't think that's true. I'm Googling this right now, but that doesn't sound... Is that true? Allied powers and all that. Is that true? They used United Nations more often? The Germans did use allies, my bad? Really? I want to do more research on that in my own time. I'm willing to believe that, but I'm very dubious about it. The term allies was not used by the Allies during World War II. That's I'm very interested in that. I'm ready to be told that that's true, but I'm gonna keep myself dubious about that. Cursed design opinion. Back when I was little, I had a drawing and it was a slightly upsized T-34-85, but instead of having its normal funny and having its normal gun, it had a railgun on it. It looked so weird. That's cool. Straight bolt lever or bend bolt action? Wait, what? Oh, like a straight bolt action versus bent? Like, are you asking me what's better? Obviously bent. My Mosins have the straight bolt, and yeah, that shit, the only way you can operate it is by bringing it down and racking it, versus the Enfield, both Enfields, and the 1903, you can work the lever in the shoulder. Whereas both Mosins, it's like damn near impossible. And it's not specifically just because of like the bolts being all muddy and goopy and like hard to actuate. But yeah, that straight bolt lever means that like if you have the gun up, you have to like grab it and like you have to do this. And like this is really weird, especially when you have all the weight of the rifle and it's like when you try to grab it and you try to turn it, the rifle wants to turn over and like it's really odd. Yeah, a straight bolt handle I think is not good. It's objectively inferior to a bent bolt handle. Hey, Edda, what do you think about the Panther found in some German vet's basement? I think that's awesome. I think that's hilarious. That guy should have been allowed to keep it, dude. Why the fuck? Why the hell did the government have to seize that poor guy's tank? I mean, I know why. I think in Germany there's like a whole bunch of laws about like any World War II artifacts that are found are instantly government property or something like that. Which I guess makes sense, but also, as an American, that's crazy. I think that guy should have been allowed to keep it. Didn't that happen like a long time ago? Like I think I remember seeing on Reddit somebody posted and was like breaking like brand new thing that just happened. Panther found in some guy's basement, and like all the comments were like, dude, this happened like 10 years ago. Like this is a really old news. Like what the hell? I don't know why it's being brought up again all of a sudden. Does the Oz Armor Museum have a 38T? Yes, they do, and I think it runs too. I think most of their tanks run in the Oz Armor Museum. In terms of model kits, I recommend Tamiya. Yeah. I've heard that they're like the best for, especially for beginners. I've heard Tamiya is just like really good. I found the source for the Jagdtiger gas turbine if you're interested. Yes, Mandarino, if you're still, I looked back up for chat messages for questions. So, yes, I am interested in that. If you can post it in if you're interested in posting it on the Discord, you can post it into the tank research materials chat. Which variant was the 38T? I don't know. I forgot. Probably look it up. Oz Armor PZ38T. Yeah, Oz Armor has a Panzer. Yeah, this fucking stupid AI overview piece of shit. Here, I'll let you. If anybody here are Panzer 38T autists, here I'll show you guys the one that I don't know the variants just by looks alone, but let's try to see if any of you guys can identify it. Hold on, pause the music. Pause that damn music. All right, check this out. Can you tell which model that is? I don't know. I think it's an original engine too. A lot of they try to have original engines wherever they can. Obviously, it leads to situations like this, though. I would say F, E or F. Dude, it sounds so good. The bow gun is missing. Look at that. I want to see the interior of a 38T so bad. That's like a bucket list item. Shout out the Oz Armor Museum, by the way. This place is like literally magic. There's a Hetzer right behind it too. That's so. You guys, hold on. There's a Hetzer right behind the 38T. Like where the 38T was parked, there's a Hetzer right behind it. Isn't that cute? Isn't that such like a cute little reference? Cause like cause I don't want to spoil it. Yeah, dude, this is badass. Shout out Oz Armor. Could it be a Swedish-built one? I'm not sure. I don't know the exact history of the one that they have here, but yeah, Oz Armor Museum is they do incredible work. I mean, not to turn this into an advertisement of the Oz Armor Museum, but they are literally like one of the best tank YouTube channels on this goddamn planet. They are fucking awesome. All sorts of all of it is like what I love. It's all like it's all focused on like the mechanics and stuff of it too. You know, it's so great. Yeah, final assembly of a Stug 3 gearbox. If you guys ever wondered how a Stug 3 gearbox goes together, all the different gears and how they all like literally. For any of you who have a Stug 3 gearbox at home, they literally like it's genuinely a tutorial. It's like here's how you reassemble. Like here's all the here's the gear linkages. So this is all the linkages on how you select the gears. He shows you how they install that, how they build it all together. And that's the linkage that goes on the side of the tank, or on the side of the transmission here, so that when you actually pull the lever to change gears, these are the linkages that actually push the gears around inside the casing to change gears. I think, yeah, he demonstrates, yeah, here. Shout out Steve, by the way. Steve is a fucking incredible. This guy's so smart. So there you go. When he works the gear lever, this is the linkages on the other side to actually change gears. This is the shit, like when I do my like Tanks 101, like we say Panther transmission bad, but what do we actually mean by that? I want to talk about this shit. I want people to know this type shit. Like, how does the transmission actually work? And where is it over-engineered? Where is it under-engineered? What's really good and reliable and well-made about these things? What's not? Not just the transmissions, but engines and things too. Like, and Oz Armor is an amazing resource for this kind of stuff. And I wish more people did work like this. Like, I think we're entering this era in tank history, especially education for tank history on the internet, where now people are really starting to get into this shit. Because we've all seen the surface level documentaries that are like, oh yeah, like a duel between a tiger and a panther, da 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 da. But I think nowadays, like, tank autism on the internet has reached a point where this is the shit people are really interested in now. In my opinion, I'm definitely interested in this type of shit. I actually, I would compare myself a lot to Ian McCullum from Forgotten Weapons because I'm Jesus, just like I'm basically Jesus. No, but I actually do compare myself to him in some ways, in the specific sense of I watched an interview. He was on a podcast, and someone did an interview about like where'd you get started and what did that. And Ian explained he's like, I'm much more interested in the engineering side of guns. He's like, the history's cool. Obviously, the history is cool. But he's like, a lot of people get all caught up on like, this was the exact gun used by such and such general, or used by so-and-so person, or this was in such and such movie. He's like, I'm not really interested in that stuff. I'm interested in the engineering of like how these weapons worked and what it took to manufacture them, and what it took to what were the quirks that they had, and like how these things actually worked in the engineering side of things. And I very much agree with him on that, but for me with tanks. Tanks are cool and all, but yeah, people show me like an image of like, yeah, I don't know, like, what are like named tanks, like, Thunderbolt 7 or, what the fuck is the one I'm thinking of? It's just like Feeling Good or something like that. Oh man, I forget. But those ever like, those kinds of, like the specific named historical tanks are kind of cool to me. Like Zemsta 2, I like Zemsta 2, obviously. Those are cool. But yeah, I'm much more interested in like my M3 Lee video was just a giant jerk off of the mechanical engineering and the industrial production side of tanks. Like I went into the establishment of the Detroit Tank Arsenal and all the different the factory hiccups that are encountered, and the In the Mood. Yeah, thank you. In the Mood. Yes. I was trying to think of the War Thunder decal, and this is the guy who who knew who it was. Shout out, your username is perfect. Yeah, I was thinking about, it's a decal in War Thunder. You can have the In the Mood decal, and yes, thank you, that one War Thunder American main. Of course, it was you who got it. Anyways, yeah, the M3 Lee video, like a big part of it was describing like what issues and bottlenecks it encountered in production, and I went super in depth on the Soviet analysis of the M3 and all the mechanical and like issues that it had, and how like one of the most fascinating things that I think that I found in that whole thing, all those test reports, was like the actually, well, there was two things. One of them was the spacers, the return rollers, were thought to be mounted too low on the bogey, and so the return rollers would scrape up against the top of the bogey, and it would increase their wear. So the Americans added little 1-inch spacers to raise the bogey slightly, and then in the Sherman, well, actually with the M3A4, they moved the bogey off to the side, right? And now as that offset arm, it no longer sat directly above the bogey casting itself. It was now offset. And then even after that, in the later variants of the Sherman, like the Gen 2 Shermans, that arm on the VVSS bogey had like a little sweep up that was added, so it swept upwards and raised it even more. Like, so the idea that the return roller was like somehow consistently seen as like being mounted too low by both the Soviets and the Americans, like that's so fascinating to me. Like that's such a weird mechanical quirk of the tank. Like I love that kind of stuff. And then failing to climb vertical earth obstacles. And I said, like, oh, that German video that everyone cites as propaganda, maybe it's actually onto something. Which, by the way, I was a bit rocky on that. I was willing to claim it. I was willing to put my name on it and say, I think I agree with that German propaganda video, that the M3 actually does have a problem scaling vertical earth obstacles. That video showing M3s versus Panthers and the M3 struggling, honestly, like I get that it's probably propaganda, but I actually think that video is more or less correct. And then that was added onto by the Soviet test reports, where the Soviets also independently came to the conclusion that the M3 had issues scaling vertical earth obstacles. And at first I was like, okay, those are 2 points of data. Realistically, Othias from CN Arsenal would tell you that you want 3 or more points of data before you really make a claim. But I was like, those are 2 pretty strong points, and I'm willing to stick my neck out and say that I think this is a true thing, because it was noticed by these 2 totally different nations, totally independently. But now I can 100% confirm it, because in doing some research for the Tank Enthusiast Reacts to War Thunder, where I was going to talk about the Swedish Sherman, the Sherman that's in the Swedish tech tree with the missing bow gun and the smaller A34 mantlet. I wanted to have a segment in the War Thunder video talking about that tank. So I did a bunch of research into Shermans being used by Sweden, and I found a Swedish video of them doing a bunch of mobility tests of a Firefly, a Sherman Firefly, a Swedish STRV of some kind, a Panther, and I think a Churchill. I could be wrong. And once again, in a direct comparison, the Swedish caught on footage, just like the Germans, this vertical earth wall. The Panther hits it, the tracks grab onto it, the sprocket grabs onto it, and it goes up and climbs over it. And then the Sherman hits it, raises a bit, and then starts spinning out, and then it can't do it. So the Swedes, the Germans, and the Soviets all independently confirmed. That's 3 points of data. In my opinion, this is confirmed. The M3 and the M4 had issues scaling vertical earth obstacles. So now I have no problem looking at that German video and saying, honestly, dude, like, I guess it's propaganda, but it's legit. Like, the M3 actually is worse than the Panther in this regard. Which also, like, is anyone surprised? The Panther has much wider tracks. The tracks extend beyond the front of the hull, where, I guess with the M3 and M4 they kind of do as well, but I don't know. Like, I feel like if I looked at a Panther and a Sherman side by side and they were like, which one do you think can climb better? I'd be like, well, yeah, I feel like the Panther is kind of a no-brainer. But everyone wants to hate on the Panther for some reason. I get that it wasn't like an amazing tank, but I mean, shit, like, it wasn't that bad. Better traction at its finest, yeah. And then also, I showed the footage in my M3 video of the M3 climbing up that really, really steep hill in Burma, or in the Southeast Asian Pacific. Note that in that video, the M3 had track grousers equipped, which that's the whole point of track grousers, is to increase your grip on either soft terrain or just in general. So yeah, climbing a steep slope, I'd imagine you'd want your track grousers equipped. And that's an argument point where, you know, could the Sherman have scaled a steep hill with a Panther? Like, could the Panther and the Sherman both have scaled really steep hills? Yes, definitely. But like, potentially, depending on the situation, the Sherman might need the assistance of track grousers where the Panther might not. And then it's like, well, the Sherman could do it, but you need this one extra thing. But also, this one extra thing isn't that hard to produce, and is in, like, there's track grousers are everywhere, and they're not hard to find, and they're not expensive to make, and they're not hard to put on. So, like, at that point, it becomes, this honestly isn't really even really an issue. And actually, I think in the Swedish video of them comparing, they did show, like, scaling a really steep hill. And I actually think the Sherman performed the best out of all the tanks. Like, I think the Churchill, the Sherman, and the Panther, they all went for it, and all of them did it, but the Sherman, like, did it the fastest. Like, they all hit. Initially, the Panther grabbed on and really went for it. It's like, oh, the Panther's going to win. But then about halfway up the hill, the Panther starts slowing down, where the Sherman just, boom, like, it just goes straight up it, and it's like, whoa, that's cool. That's interesting. So again, just like that guy in my comments had said, and I addressed this in the M3 Lee Q&A, there was a guy in the comments of the M3 video who said, wait a minute, you said that the M3 was really good at climbing hills, and you showed a video of the M3 being really good at climbing hills, but yet you agree with the German and Soviet conclusion that the Sherman or Lee, you know, it's the exact same running gear, so they're interchangeable here. But you agree that you agree with the Soviet and German implications or conclusions that it struggled to climb obstacles. So which one is it? Is it good at climbing or is it bad at climbing? Like, which one? And I argued in the M3 Q&A, I said, I think there's a difference between being able to just climb a really steep hill and being able to hit a obstacle and then go up and over it, like a rock or a fence or a wall or something. I think there's a difference. And the Swedish video shows literally side by side. There's one scene where they're climbing a really steep hill, and the Sherman does amazing, the best out of all of them. And then there's another video where it's like this big, like, brick wall, like, you know, 2-meter tall wall or whatever, and the Sherman hits it, and then it can't go up and over. And then the Panther sails over it easily. Also of note, the Swedish local-built STRV tank that they tested also couldn't scale that little wall, for what that's worth. But anyway, yeah, so I feel very confident officially saying that that German video is to be believed, and the M3/M4 genuinely had issues scaling vertical obstacles. Oh no, the Sherman's a bad tank all of a sudden. No, boo-hoo. So anyway, that's my rant about why Germany was actually right about everything. This is my official, when I reveal that I'm actually Zoomer historian in disguise. And I actually think the Germans were, they had the right idea all along. Overall, tank videos have improved my vocabulary outside of school. Yeah, dude, there's a lot to be learned. That's what I love too about tanks and studying tanks, genuinely, is I love how it's an all-encompassing field. Like, to truly understand a tank, like, you have to become educated in auto mechanics and metallurgy and military structure and doctrine and ballistics, and like tanks are such an industry, industrial production. Like, you have to know how a factory works and how like mass production works and all these, like, there's so much that is involved in tanks that like it's such a fascinating area of study because you end up touching on so many other adjacent subjects, and it can make you, like, weirdly enough, you can be like, oh, actually, like, hey, that's actually like I like working on my car has been made easier because I understand auto mechanics better because I studied them for tanks. Like, I didn't know what a differential even was until I studied them for tank stuff or a transmission or, you know, whatever. And then I had to study auto mechanics for tank stuff. And then now, like working on my own car, like, it hasn't been made easier, but now, like, I really understand how, like, now I'm ever more conscious about how cars work. Because of what I've had to study for tanks, and vice versa with like firearms and stuff too. I've had to learn a lot of gun stuff being a gun owner. Eddie, did you see that the Virginia state flag is being flown around South Korea as a sign against the South Korean president who had a failed coup? I did not see that, but that's very interesting. That actually does kind of make sense because the phrase imprinted on the Virginian flag is, the flag of Virginia is Sic Semper Tyrannis, which is Latin for down with the tyrant. So that actually kind of makes sense that of all the flags, they picked that one. And it's also, the picture on the Virginia state flag is like a woman standing over a guy with a spear in her hand and her titty hanging out, which is also badass. So that's very interesting, but cool. Just look back in the stream. I'm excited for the GUP analysis video. Thank you. I am too. Also, do you have your eyes on any games you want to make videos on? I mean, currently, Tank Enthusiast Reacts to War Thunder is about to happen. Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 is a game that I'm want to make a video of, a 40k subscriber special. Tank Enthusiast Reacts to. Aces in Armor is an up-and-coming tank simulator game that I've been a historical advisor for. I've been helping with development of that game. I'm not helping with development. I'm not a coder or a programmer or a level designer. But again, I've been heavily involved in the research for that. Like, when they want to add a new tank to the game, they come to me. Actually, Alexandros had recently approached me. They're looking to add the BT-7 to the game, and I think they're going to add, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but okay, they're working on another tank. And like for the future, and they came to me and they're like, do you know much about these? And I was like, actually, like, I don't know if I could help too much with these. Like, the BTs I'm a bit frosty on, and especially the other one that they wanted to add, I was like, I don't really know a lot about that tank. I don't think I'm gonna be able to help. But with the T-34 and the Panzer IV, I helped out a lot with their designs for those. And then once they include Soviet Lend-Lease M3s and M4s, I'm pretty sure I will be like their sole resource. Like, I'm pretty sure they're gonna add the M3 and the M4 to Aces in Armor, and they're gonna be like 100% credits to Edda 320, because those are two tanks that I genuinely feel very confident. I don't need anyone else. I can give them everything they will ever need on those tanks, to model them, to get them working. They'll show me demos, and I'll be like, it's not turning correctly. It has a much wider turning radius than what you're showing here. The double differential steering has a really, really wide turning radius, which, by the way, is a genuine flaw of the Sherman and the Lee. Has a really wide turning radius because you can't. It wasn't a clutch braking system, so when you pull the steering tillers back, it doesn't cut power to the track and then apply brake to it to stop it, so you can turn on a dime. All it's doing is just directing power. It's just shifting how much power is being applied to each track, but each track is constantly receiving power. You can't cut power to any of the two tracks based on the way that the differential works in the Sherman and the M3. So as a result, the turning circles of the M3 and the M4 are really wide. I think the Soviets said it was like 10 meters or something like that. There's a video out there by the National Museum of Military Vehicles showing them driving around, admittedly a stunt Sherman, but it was built on an M3, and the running gear and like the lower chassis is all real. but then the upper hull was built for the Pacific, the TV show The Pacific. It's like a mock-up Sherman, but again, the lower, the running gear, the engine, the lower, the transmission, the steering, the lower hull, the chassis is proper M3. It was actually, they said it was built on a Grant, I think, M3, so that's real. And they showed footage of one driving around, and they mentioned, like, yeah, like, you can't do a zero turn. You can't turn in place on it. The best you can do is just pull the tiller as far back as you can, and you can get a turn, but it's going to be a really, really, really wide turn. Which also means, and this is something I plan to bring up in the War Thunder Tank Enthusiast Reacts, but that also means that from a standstill, you can't, like, sitting still, pull a tiller all the way back to cut track to a power, and then hit the gas and then turn on a dime from a standstill. You physically can't do that in a Sherman or an M3. You have to give it gas. You have to start rolling forward on both tracks and then start cutting power to it. And again, your turning circle is going to be really wide. So in War Thunder, you just hold down A and then you press W and the tank just turns like on a frozen track, and that other track goes and it just turns instantly. That is physically impossible on the M3 and the M4. Like, you can't do that. So I plan to bring that up in the War Thunder video. The Sherman should have a much larger turning circle and should generally be less maneuverable as a result. And part of what the Sherman is really good at in War Thunder is like this urban brawler, because you can take corners so fast, and the turret traverse is really fast, and the gun is fast reload rate. Like, the Sherman's a really good urban brawler tank in War Thunder. But if you implemented the Sherman's turning circle and maneuverability properly, as it is in real life, it would not be that good for that, actually, because you would have to take corners really wide. There's also, in the M3 Grant restoration video on the Oz Armor Museum, when you see them driving it out of their workshop, they kind of cut around it, but like, if you really pay attention, you can see like there's a point where they come around and then they have to go around the corner of the building to get up the ramp to go into the museum. And there's a point where they hit the corner, they turn, and then they're understeering heavy because the turning circle is huge. So they hit the corner and they start hitting it, and then they have to stop and then back up and line it up and then go forward up the ramp. So even just taking a 90-degree turn around a corner, they have to start the turn, stop, back up, and then go forward. So again, but like a T-34 or a Panzer IV, you could just take your go, pull the track, cut power to one track, and then it just turns on a dime, and then let go, and then forward again, and then it goes up. So anyways, and that's stuff that you learn by analyzing how the Sherman's differential actually works and how it is compared to other tanks' differentials. So that's what I want to help get people an understanding of in a theoretical Tank 101 series that I have this idea for. Anyway, Sherman rant over. One of many. Edler, what's your favorite tank based on looks? What's your favorite tank based on functionality? I think my favorite tank based on looks is probably it is the Composite Firefly. The favorite tank based on functionality? I don't know. Probably either a Sherman of some kind or maybe the Centurion. I've always had a really big soft spot in my heart for the Centurion. This sounds like a huge problem. Clearly it wasn't, because it wasn't anything that there was like any super major, like there was never like some, like, there are things that the U.S. saw about the Sherman that was not good, or, faults. The America was very good at recognizing faults of the Sherman and all their other tanks and trying their best to correct them. Hell, they made a huge hoopla about how the hatches on the tank were so small that crew members were injuring themselves getting in and out of them. And there was a huge process for trying to get the larger style hatches on the Sherman, led to the composite Sherman. And the composite Sherman was like almost adopted full as this, all Shermans going forward are going to be composite because we want a solution to this small hatch problem. So, clearly they found things that were not good and they tried their best to fix them, but it seems that the transmission was never, the differential, the steering, was never something they considered, it seems like it was never something they considered such a problem that it had to be addressed like that. And personally, I've never heard any actual complaints about it except for that one Soviet test where the Soviets remarked, the Sherman has a really wide turning circle and we don't really like that. But I've never heard anyone really complain about it. I've certainly never heard any like field reports of, I would have been able to do this if only my tank had a tighter turning circle. Like, it seems like it wasn't, in practice, it seems like it wasn't a massive problem. For the Gup analysis, are you going to review the manga content as well? I was not planning on that, no. I was going to do just the TV show and the movies. How do you feel about a Sherman DD technically being a boat? It's not. I don't think it is a boat, actually. I feel like the Polish did really well to make a tank that both the Germans and Swedish would use for quite a while. You mean the 7CP? I mean, the 7CP was basically just a Vickers Z, but with a new engine. The Polish didn't really, as far as I know, the Polish really didn't do that much to it. I mean, the Finns had their own version of a Vickers Z. The Soviets had the T-26, which was basically, again, just a variant of the Vickers Z. I mean, the Vickers Z is the tank that took the world by storm. Shout out Vickers. I don't think the Polish like came up with the 7CP design like 100. Like it wasn't. The 7CP is not a Polish original design in the fact that like they didn't make it from scratch. The 7CP was a Vickers E that the Polish modified. I know they put a different engine in it because the back end of the 7CP is like way bigger. But as far as I know, it's the turret was the same as what was used in the Vickers 1. Actually, I think the 37 guns were they were Bofors 37s that were being manufactured in Poland, if I'm not mistaken, because the Finnish were ordering those Vickers E tanks, and they ordered them to be completely naked, no guns, no seats, no anything. And then the Finns were going to just order those naked Vickers E, and then they were going to build their own tanks with those. But then with war looming, they were like, the orders kept getting delayed, and they were like, fine, just give us like completed Vickers E's right now. But part of the Finnish plans to make their own Vickers E's were to order 37mm guns that were being made in Poland. So I think that was happening. But Czechoslovakia, the 38T. Yeah, the 38 and 35Ts were good tanks for their time. If the Russians complained about the Sherman's turning, was the T-34 better than the Sherman in turning? Yes. The T-34 was more maneuverable than the Sherman in pretty much every way. It had wider tracks, so it had better ground pressure. Ground pressure was a very notable way in which the Sherman struggled. Even Americans recognized it with the duckbill extensions, and then eventually HVSS and the E9 suspension. So Sherman had, T-34 had wider tracks, so that's better, more maneuverable. It was faster, as far as I know. Christie suspension made it more maneuverable over really, really rough terrain. It was less susceptible to ice, sliding around, and it had good grip on ice, good hill climbing capabilities. It could get up over those vertical earth obstacles, and it had a traditional clutch brake steering. So when you pull the tiller, the sprockets are connected to, the final drives are connected via a clutch, similar to a clutch on a car, where you push your foot in and the clutch disengages, and then the engine is no longer sending power directly to the wheels, and that's how that works. The tracks were connected to the final drives via a clutch, or I don't know, it might be the final drives were connected to the transmission with a clutch. I forget where the clutch is, but the clutch is somewhere there. And so when you pull the tillers, it releases that clutch, so the tracks physically disengage from the engine, and the tracks stop receiving power, so they go limp, basically. And then if you pull further, additionally, a brake is applied to like actually stop the tracks and hold the tracks frozen, stop. And so you would pull the lever a bit, power stops going to the tracks, one track. So now one track is receiving power, the other one isn't. So naturally the tank just starts listing in that direction. And then if you pull all the way back, it engages the brake, and then that track freezes, and then now the tank can turn in place on the frozen track. And you can turn basically on a dime. And then the only step you can go farther than that is the German solution, the twin transmission solution, where you pull even further, and then now one track goes forward and the other track goes backwards, and then now you can literally turn in place on a dime. But at that point, like, being able to freeze a track and turn in place versus having general like neutral steering, especially for World War II, that wasn't that big of a leap. Like, that was like, the tank's gonna turn basically in place either way. But yeah, the Sherman definitely had, the Sherman was not as maneuverable than the T-34, and especially in the turning circle. That was one that they were like, yeah, this is definitely not as good. How long do you usually stream for? Usually about 3 hours or so is in like a normal stream. Although, yeah, we might have to cut it here in like the next, I don't know, 15 minutes or so, just for like, we've been here for a while. I have to refill my water. I'm starting to get empty. And there's a couple things I'd like to go and get to work on. Edda, how many times a day do you visit the Sherman Minutia homepage? About 83, something like that. And what do you think about the Polish 7TP? It was epic. I have a soft spot in my heart for Poland, as you can tell. I think it's very cool. I think it's probably my favorite variant of any sort of Vickers style tank. I'll give you a little here. That'll tell you what I think about the 7TP. Check that shit out. And that's the big difference between the 7TP and most other tanks that are built on the Vickers, like the 226 or others, is this ginormous engine block that they added, which tells me they clearly put a different engine in it. That would be my sort of guess. But otherwise, as far as I know, the 7TP is basically just a standard Vickers export 6-ton, but clearly with a different engine. I don't know what engine they put in it, but clearly it's different, because why else would the back be so different? In case you're curious, I also have an R35 that I built with Polish markings. So it's a Poland purchased and operated French R35. Very cool. Shout out Kobe. Diesel engine. Oh, that's right, because Poland were the first Europeans to put a diesel engine into a tank. Shout out, by the way. Shout out Poland. Japan was the first country in the world to put a diesel engine into a tank. Shout out Japan. Did the British ever use the Sherman with the 76mm M1? I believe they did, because they had a designation for it. It was like the Sherman YVV or some really weird. The British had a really weird naming scheme. Because the Sherman... So the Sherman V was Firefly. And then the Sherman VC was the Firefly composite. And then, yeah, I think the Y was to denote the 76mm gun. So, like, it could be like a Sherman 3A. What was the Y? Was Y HVSS? I know they used a Y. I know they did. They used a Y as HVSS. All right, so then, yeah. So A was to denote a 76. Okay. So that considering the British had a name for it, clearly they did. M1A1, that's the Abrams. We're not talking about that. This is a good first stream for me. Hope to see you in War Thunder video soon. Yeah, man, it's gonna be a great video. And again, if you thought this stream was great, if you liked me in a stream format, seriously, check out the live channel, because I stream on there all the time. And that Kobe model is more than $100 now. Seriously, the 7TP? That's kind of awesome. By the way, I thought that all tanks could turn in place. Thanks for the new information. Yeah, man. This is what the Tank 101 series would be all about, is describing like basically that rant, but in like a formatted video. Tanks 101, let's talk about all the different drivetrains and suspension systems and all those things that tanks have, and then let's compare and contrast. And then we can say, turns out the Soviet T-34 was a far more maneuverable tank than the Sherman. Actually, I don't know about far more, but it was more maneuverable. Generally, where the Soviets really felt that the Sherman and the Lee fell short was in off-road capabilities. Because off-road capabilities the Soviets really valued, especially because in a lot of places in the Soviet Union, it's rural villages where nothing connects them but dirt roads. Whereas America, being a very heavily automobile-focused industry, we had a booming car industry. You know, cars were... Most people in America owned cars even back then. Driving culture was and still is a huge thing in this country. So paved roads were everywhere in America. So in America, generally, a lot of our tanks were built for on-road conditions. And yes, they could go off-road, but they weren't really like, that was never something that America was like, it needs to be like exceptional off-road. Where the Soviets were like, this thing needs to be able to be as good off-road as it is on-road. And that's just something American tanks were just generally not always designed for. Once again, Soviet tests of the M18. They hated the M18 off-road because the ratios of the automatic transmission on the M18 were god awful off road, and the thing burnt gas like a motherfucker. They said it was a fuel consumer. It was a gas eater. Off road, they said the M18 was awful because of its automatic transmission. You had less control over how much torque you were putting down. And yeah, sorry, I saw the V indicates M4A4. Thank you, I had that brain fart, you're right. The Sherman 5 is the M4A4, and then VC indicates a Firefly. So that's why I'm thinking of the Sherman IC, which is obviously the Sherman 1C Firefly. So thank you for correcting me on that. That was a little brain fart there. Hello, Edda. Hi, Shiro, V14. What do you think about the Belgian Kati? I don't know what that is. Imagine a scenario of Soviet Tizard mission in 1941. UK and US get full documentation on the T-34 and the KV-1, all their parts, and an example of each tank. What would change compared to reality? Probably not much, to be honest, because the T-34 is not the best tank in the world by a long shot in 1941. The T-34, okay. The T-34 is impressive in its armor and armament. I don't think there's anything directly they would take from the T-34, but they would look at the concept and be like, wow, a medium tank with a 76mm gun that is quite maneuverable and has sloped armor, that's a pretty damn good idea. Although by that point, 1941, pretty much everyone was already thinking in that direction. I mean, America basically wanted the Sherman in 1941, but they just couldn't, and so they had to do the M3. The KV-1 would have been interesting, but I'm not sure. It may have influenced Britain, but I'm not sure how, because they already had the Churchill. They were already going in that direction. There probably could have been some like automotive, like the V2 engine. Actually, the V2 engine probably would have been a huge thing for both of them back in 1941, because America was scrambling for, America specifically, I don't know about Britain, but America specifically was scrambling for new tank engines because the production of the R975, the Continental, the radial engine for the M3 was severely lacking. So that's why they bring in the twin diesel, and that's why they bring in the composite, or not the, what the fuck? That's why they bring in the A57, the multi-bank, because they need different engines. They need new engines, and they need good engines. And so if you just hand-delivered them the Soviet V2, which is a dynamite engine, by the time it had all of its kinks worked out in 1942, 43. By the time the engine was made reliable, the V2 is a dynamite diesel engine, like a damn good engine. So I think if you just handed that to Britain and America in 1941, they'd be like, whoa. And also, what was it? The V2 had the aluminum cast block, so like, whoa, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know. I think not too much would change, like, specifically, but yeah, I think there would definitely be some concepts that they'd be like, huh, like, we hadn't thought about that. That's an interesting thing. And that's what you see people taking most of the time anyways when they encounter tanks. Like, you don't often see a nation just straight yoinking stuff from other nations of like, we're just going to actually straight up build a copy of your tank, or we're going to incorporate, like, the turret of your tank is really good, we're going to put it on our tank. Even then, that doesn't happen that often. Usually what you see is when a nation takes anything from someone else's tanks, it's usually just the concept. It's usually the idea of like, hey, the Soviets, German cupolas are really fucking nice. We're not just going to take German cupolas, but we're going to really incorporate the thinking and ideas of German cupolas, and we build T-34s with cupolas. They were also heavily influenced by the American cupolas on the later Shermans, the all-round vision block late Sherman cupolas. Because obviously the first Shermans didn't really have cupolas. They had just the split hatch. They just had a hatch. It wasn't really a cupola. It wasn't really a traditional cupola with vision. It was just a hatch with a periscope. Soviets also, they see the stabilizer in the M3 Lee, and they say, hey, maybe we should take another crack at stabilizers. The Soviets had tried putting a stabilizer in the T-34 all the way back in like 1937, or at the very least it was in the requirements. In 1937, when they say we need a new medium tank, part of the requirements is it should be fitted with a 76mm gun and a stabilizer. Obviously, it's something they have to cut when they actually put the T-34 into production. But then when the Soviets get their hands on M3s and they see stabilizers on the 37 and the 75, there are orders made to reverse engineer those stabilizers and then produce stabilizers for the 76, the 85, Yeah, the 76 and the 85 gun in Soviet service. So I don't. Again, they're not straight copying the stabilizer in the M3, but again, like the concept, they were like, oh, that's right, like that was something we were trying to do, but we never really got around to. The Americans have done it, so like clearly this is real, this is a thing, and we should try again. Apparently, the all-steel road wheels on the KV, supposedly, according to one of my books, I think it was the Steve Zaloga book that I have on the T-34. Apparently, supposedly, the all-steel road wheels on the KV supposedly influenced the Germans into developing the steel road wheels that they did for the Jagdpanzer IV and the steel return rollers for the later Panzer IVs and things like that. That was like I guess where they got the idea from, and the design was based off it. So again, like you don't really see them taking like straight copying actual things. It's more of like, oh, that's a good idea, and we should make our own version of that. And then whether they actually, hit the mark and their version is better than the original, that is you get a lot of hits or misses there. Have you ever played Panzer Platoon on your phone before support was cut? No, I don't know what that is actually. What's your favorite flak Panzer? I mean, the Wirbelwind is classic, man. You can't not love a Wirbelwind. It's a small Belgian anti-tank vehicle. Oh, that's cute. Wait, is that the M13 or whatever, or the M14 or whatever it was called that the Chieftain did his video on, where it was a tiny little tank destroyer that also was like a fuel and ammunition. It was something like a universal carrier, but it was also a tank destroyer. Like it was bigger than a universal carrier, but it was also like it had like a tank. It had a gun on it and was kind of a tank destroyer. If that's the one you're talking about, I think that's awesome. I love that little tank. It's so cool. KB1 Enjoyer wants to know thoughts on the KV1. It's cool. I wish I knew more about it, but I mean, it was ahead of its time in terms of like a functional heavy tank. Not a lot of countries really had anything like that at the time. I guess France did in the B1 BIS. If you really consider the B1 BIS to be a heavy tank, I'm sure you could stretch the definitions. I guess Churchill, theoretically, if you wanted to call it a heavy tank, but I think the KV was truly, properly, like one of the first actual proper heavy tanks, especially as we would come to know them in World War II. And then the lineage of the KV-1 is the lineage of the KV-1 is obvious. It leads into the IS, and then the IS-2 becomes objectively one of the best heavy tanks of World War II. Do you know anything about Soviet or German anti-mine vehicles? Because America has the Crab and Sherman with his big wheels in the front, but I never heard about anything similar from other World War II nations. So, firstly, I'm going to be an asshole here. I'm going to say Sherman Crab was not America. That was Britain. British developed the Crabs and the Scorpions as well on the M3. But yes, America did have the anti-mine. They have the big rollers and everything. And they have Big Wheel. Shout out Big Wheel. Shout out Sherman Big Wheel. Germans did have anti-mine vehicles. They had notoriously the Kugelblitz or whatever. Wasn't it called the Kugelblitz? It was this fucking... I mean, once I show it to you, you guys are going to know what it is. Kugelblitz. Oh, that's an AA vehicle. What's the fucking German anti-mine tank? I actually don't know about the Soviet side of this discussion, but... yes, the Germans had several designs, such as this fucking thing. Two big wheel. And the idea is that these giant pads would hit the mines and detonate them. Yeah, there you go. So that's a real thing that they tried. There was also... wasn't there the Sherman... I don't know, German... big wheel, German big wheel tank. No, see, that's all right. That's the Sherman. Shout out Sherman Big Wheel. That was an anti-mine vehicle from the USA. Can I like, you guys? Oh wait, here it is. I found it. There it is. This was also an anti-mine. It would drive over mines, if I'm not mistaken, right? I'm pretty sure this was an anti-mine vehicle. But yeah, this is a real thing that Germany built. Unfortunately. And then, yeah, shout out the Tsar tank. This was not an anti-mine vehicle. This was, like, genuinely, actually just a real tank they tried to build. Yeah, 1919 was a crazy time. What a time to be alive, 1919. It was a good year. A lot of good stuff was happening. Not a good year to be alive. 1919. Probably not a great year. T-34 is basically a stepbrother to British cruisers, and KB-1 can inspire a turret that would fit 76. KB-1 can inspire a turret that would fit a 76 on Churchill without waiting. That could be true because the British were heavily inspired by the Americans with the Sherman and also the Lee of like, holy shit, you can build a all-purpose gun that like has a good HE charge and a good AP round, a good like general purpose medium gun. Like, holy shit, you can do that? Because before that, the British were going all in on like small caliber, high velocity AP solid shotguns, and HE was like, as far as Britain was concerned, HE didn't exist. But then for America, when they got their hands on the 75 M2 and M3 guns, they were like, holy shit, yeah, you can build a 75 millimeter gun with that's actually pretty well rounded. That's interesting. T-34 basically a stepbrother to British cruisers. Yeah, kind of. I mean, not really in doctrine, but like, I mean, not really. Like in the sense that they have Christie suspension, sure, but I guess so. I can see it. What was the first tank with a full high-speed stabilizer? Not like Sherman low-speed stabilizer? Centurion, I think, right? Probably Centurion. I don't know. At that point, you're getting into post-World War II, and I'm really not totally sure. It was the next video after that on the Chieftain's Chin. It was the Belgian ASU-57. Oh, C-13 is really good too. Yeah, I really like the C-13. Yeah, sorry, I called it an M13. I meant, yeah, the C-13. That was a really cool little tank. And I'm sorry for saying that, but I'll never accept the B-1 Bis and Churchill as heavy tanks. They're battle and infantry medium tanks because British and French had different idea for heavy tanks, TOG and 2C. Fair point. That's a very fair point. But theoretically, like, that's that because of the way that they were ended up using. But theoretically, if you took a Churchill and just plopped it into Soviet service, they would use it as a heavy tank, right? And they have comparable features. But I mean, you could say the same as if you took a KV and dropped it into British service, they wouldn't use it as a heavy tank, they'd use it as an infantry tank. And then same thing with B-1 Bis, right? So at that point, I think it's more, yeah, like what they were intended to be used for rather than their physical character. Like, I think physically, a B-1 Bis and a KV and a Churchill are... I guess the B-1 Bis is the biggest outlier for obvious reasons, but a Churchill and a KV, I feel like, are not too distant in terms of capability and features. Obviously, Churchill is a lot slower, but I think to a certain degree they could be interchangeable. It just depends on the country that's like... It depends on the country that is using them. Opinion on the Arasaka Type 99. I've heard it's one of the best bolt actions like ever in the world. Also, you don't need to raise your arms so high in order to rack the bolt on straight lever bolt actions. It's probably a 1-2 centimeter higher. I own 2 straight bolt actions, and you got to go. It's a 90 degree. It is literally, you grab it here, and then you have to go 90 degrees up to pull it back, and then go back down. Like, it is very difficult. And was there ever a shotgun shell style? Shells used in World War II, other than the capped cases? What do you mean by that? Oh, just a 76 or 8.8 centimeter shotgun shell? Not that I know of. There was the 37 millimeter canister shot, which, yes, that was just a shotgun shell, basically. Just a 37 millimeter shotgun shell. So yes, those did exist. But 76 and 8.8, I don't think they went that high with those with that shell type in those calibers. They could have, but I don't know of them. The Russians use them. There you go. So that seems like probably a yes. I do know that the Abrams, the MPATs are one of the like configurable ammo type, one of the like universal ammo types that they keep trying to develop for the Abrams. I saw footage of the Abrams shooting something, and it just splattered shot all over like a hillside. It's basically like a giant shotgun. Yeah, there is for Abrams. Yeah, I saw that video. Basically on topic of B-1 BIS and Churchill, my logic is following two questions. Has design compromised on armor or armament? And is there heavier tank in service or simultaneous development? Yes, the idea is a true heavy tank is it went all in on armor and all in on armament. And then is there a heavier tank is there something that would better fit the definition of a heavy tank in service at the time? I think, yeah, those are valid questions to ask, sure. My opinion is just more of, yeah, like, if you just took a Churchill as it was and gave it to the Soviets, the closest thing that they would use it to is a KV, and I think vice versa. I'm not at all trying to say that the KV and the B1, the KV, the Churchill, and the B1 BIS are all interchangeable tanks. I'm not trying to say that they are all of the same tank with the same capabilities, but I'm saying that, like, the KV is a heavy tank for the Soviets. If you gave them the M3, or what the fuck? Sorry, I just read that M3 question and you threw me off. If you gave them a B1 BIS or a Churchill, they would look at that and be like, yeah, the best thing for this, the best place to fit this for us it is closest to what we would call in Soviet doctrine at this time in history, a heavy tank. Yeah, also, yeah, sorry, I just saw that. Give a warning that you don't accept further questions 3 to 5 minutes before ad break, please. I didn't realize that there are ad breaks happening right now on this stream. I didn't even think I had that enabled. I severely apologize for that, by the way. I don't usually like to creators adopting. I don't think I have it on, do I? I see here at the top of my studio page, creators adopting live automated mid-roll ads, average 20% uplift in revenue, sure. And there's a button to turn on. I don't think I have ads turned on for this stream, do I? I didn't get any ads. Yeah, I didn't think so. Also, I don't know if I've never had ads turned on for my streams because I think that's like such a shitty thing to interrupt, especially because streams are live. The whole point is like live interaction. It's like I agree with what you're saying. Like that would suck so bad if you're in the middle of like a live moment, like sharing a moment with people live right now, and then all of a sudden it gets interrupted with an ad. Like I think that's just really shitty. All for me to make what, a couple extra bucks? Like I think that's just kind of lame. So I never have ads enabled on my streams. If you want to support me, donate. I don't know if I have donations actually set up on this stream, but I should have. I should have donations available on my live stream channel, so you can donate during a stream on the live channel, not on this one, but on the other one. But if you gave us, i.e. Soviets, B1 BIS, we would be too puzzled what we're looking at to even use it for several months. You think so? I mean, you guys had the T-35 and stuff, like a multi-gunned, multi-turreted, tiered. I mean, B1 BIS has... you guys did fine with the M3 having multiple guns. I guess it's very heavily armored and it's very large. It's really large. I guess that's a fair point. Yeah, even the M3 and the B1 aren't really comparable. I mean, yeah, they both have like the hull gun and a turret, but the M3 and the B1 are like... Ooh, are they fundamentally different tanks? Because the B1 is a battle tank, and then the M3 is just a generic medium tank. But one could make the argument that for American doctrine in World War II, a generic medium tank basically is a battle tank. You get into some very interesting wordplay here. What is the weirdest Sherman thing that you know of that is not the Crab or the Sherman with the spinny chainy thing in front of it? That is the Crab, by the way. The two things that you just described are both the Sherman Crab. The weirdest Sherman that I know of that was not that. Oh, there was a Sherman that freaking File posted recently on my Discord with it had like an extra coaxial machine gun where they put like a separate turret on the side of the Sherman's turret with an extra coaxial machine gun. And it was very like, huh? Why would you even do that? Oh, Flat Sherman is also very funny. These like 2 Israeli officers who took a Sherman and just like smushed it. Skink is pretty weird. Skink is very weird, actually. There's just a great little resource here on my Discord in the Tank Questions channel. There's a thread for literally show me the most interesting Sherman variants. And I mean, File has been the number 1 poster there. File has just been dumping images of really weird Shermans. Yeah, I'm really bad at thinking about stuff off the top of my head, to be honest. Edit answer question? Which question? Striker. Oh, question about the M3. How much did the B1 influence the creation of the M3? Oh yeah, I answered this question on my Q&A on the M3. From what I can tell in my research, not at all. The M3 was the way that it was because of its own independent development with the 75mm gun and wanting to get something into a tank right now and being a stopgap and all that. It very well could be that some U.S. designer or officer or somebody in Ordnance saw the B-1 BIS and was like, hey, like, a tiered multi-gun type vehicle could exist, whatever. It's very possible that could have happened, but at no point in the development of the M3 did I ever see anyone mention the B1 as like a, let's do that, but our own version. Like, from what I can tell, the B1 did not influence the M3 at all. It was just sort of coincidence, but... Sorry, not lads, the interlude. You said you wanted to refill a drink? Oh, I was saying that I might end stream. Like, I might stop the stream eventually because I do want to go work on stuff and I refill my drink and eat something and, like, I don't think I'll be streaming all night. That's sort of what I meant. Edit, we didn't do fine with the M3 because someone welded shut the side escape hatches before sending them. That did not happen until February of 1942 in terms of production. But the Soviets would have been getting M3s since basically the beginning, for the first about half a year. The Soviets, you guys would have been getting normal M3s with the side doors normally. From reports that I've read, it was something that they complained about as being just like this weird outdated thing. By the time the Soviets actually got their hands on like getting around the M3 and were like, hey, let's actually make use out of it, they obviously discovered that they could fit 10 submachine guns inside the tank along with the 6-man crew. And so by then they really liked cramming as many people as they could inside the tank. And so because of that, the side doors actually ended up being quite useful to them. So then in early 1942, when we stopped welding, we stopped including the doors, but first we welded them shut. And then eventually the new side panel came that had no doors in it at all because America viewed it as a ballistic weak spot, so we got rid of it. But by that point, the Soviets had kind of learned, like, wait, no, we actually want this because we've been using the M3 as like this like quasi APC almost by fitting a bunch of submachine gunners inside the tanks. And so yes, once that happened, the Soviets were like, what the fuck? Like we realized that we actually kind of liked that. Some credit where credit is due. In its place, we did add the floor escape hatch, but obviously that's not replacing the functionality that the Soviets were getting out of the M3, having those 2 escape hatches and being able to clamber in, 2 squads of submachine gunners and then have them jump out and then deploy. Because it was also, that in of itself was to make up for the fact that you couldn't have infantry riding on or holding on to the sides of the tanks. Because the large boxy design of the M3 meant that you couldn't have infantry that sat on the tanks like you could with a T-34 or a KV. This is mentioned several times in Soviet reports that like what the fuck, infantry can't sit on this thing. They mentioned it as a downside of the M3's design. I thought the Crab was the Sherman with the huge wheel. Don't know about Shermans. No, the Crab is the Sherman with the chain whip to detonate mines. I have a question. Where the hell do you get off, pal? Sticky, that's none of your business. Shut up. Snooki, by the way, I was busy when we were texting, so I did not have a chance to go check the fridge, and I apologize for that, but also shut the hell up. What hour is it in your place right now? It is 5:44 p.m., and I'm going to have to go pretty soon. Do you have a stream schedule? Yeah, I try to stream every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday around 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. EST, if you want to do those time conversions. M3 Lee APC sounds like a sleep paralysis demon, absolute curse. M3 Lee first IFV, first time I'm hearing about the M3 use as an IFV. Okay, so it wasn't necessarily the fact that like the M3 became an IFV for them, but again, like the Soviets have always been obsessed with the concept of piling infantry onto tanks so that the infantry can move with the tanks, which, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's an APC, that's an IFV, right? Like that's the whole point, is you have infantry that ride on the tank. So the tank rolls up, the infantry disembark, and then they do their thing. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's always been the idea. And the Soviets have been obsessed with that idea. Hence the reason why after World War II, they designed the first and arguably best APC of its era, of its time, the BMP. Or IFV, excuse me, of its time, the BMP. So, like, the fact that the Soviets were the ones who took a look at the giant boxy design of the M3 and said, hey, we can fit 10 submachine gunners inside this tank along with the 10-man crew, and we see that as a massive upside. I am not at all surprised by that. And I've heard it mentioned multiple times in books and also on Peter Samsonov, who's a Russian-Canadian. He speaks Russian. He goes into Russian archives and translates it and posts it on his blog. He mentions in several of his posts, he has dug up documents that have made reference to stuffing infantry into the M3, and they were like, hey, this works, as opposed to having infantry pile onto the tanks. I suppose perhaps I misspoke in saying that the M3 like became an IFV in Soviet military doctrine, but more so they found the IFV, they found the M3 useful in the sense that it was able to carry infantry inside of it and protect it inside of the hull. And then when they got there, they could jump out and do their thing, rather than having everyone hang on loosely onto the side of the tank and potentially fall off or get shot or something like that. That was something that they actually discovered about the M3, and they said that they actually liked about it. Does that mean that the M3 was an IFV or an APC for the Soviets? Maybe we don't have to go that far. But for me, I found that very interesting, and it makes sense because again, from what I've seen, the Soviets have always been obsessed with the idea of putting infantry in or on armored vehicles, and in that regard, I would say they've been very ahead of their time on that, because most people thought of infantry hangs out in trucks or, I mean, half tracks, right? But the Soviets were like, no, like they should ride around in like really well protected armored vehicles like tanks or their own thing, and then after World War II, they really expanded on the concept. First Russian BMP was the M3. I mean, yeah, yeah. You know, let's start going around saying that the M3 Lee was an APC. And you should do a response video to the French channel Heavy Metal. They did a whole video about the M3 being the worst World War II tank. You know what video I have a fucking bone to pick? Let me show you what video I have a bone to pick. I think is a real freaking piece of shit video. This fucking video. Oh my god. This pisses me off to no fucking end. Look at this, dude. Look at this shit. Look at this crap. Look at this, dude. This shit up here, dude. This shit pisses me the fuck off. First of all, the worst American tank of World War II. All right, chill the fuck out. Second of all, a crappy AI thumbnail, and the AI image looks more like a Sherman than it does an M3, so it's not even the right fucking tank. You fucking asshole, dude. Oh my god. Look, man, I'm sure this dude is a nice guy. I'm sure he'd be great to go to a bar and have a drink with. But my god, I hate seeing his face everywhere in shit that he has no fucking right talking about. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, but man, seeing videos of that dude's face on why this was actually the worst thing ever and you should hate it. I do not like that. And then, yeah, to do all this research on the M3 and be like, wait, the M3 was actually a pretty awesome vehicle. And then him be like, yeah, but actually it sucks. Here's a thumbnail of an AI-generated Sherman. It's like, why? Why? It just shows such a lack of care. It just, like, you don't like tanks. You don't love tanks. You don't care about tanks. You don't give a fuck. You just are in it for the, you're clawing at the military history community. And you're making all of us dumber for it. It's just so, like, ugh. I know not everyone loves tanks as much as I do and genuinely, like, finds them to be, like, a sacred thing that we all need to treat properly. But, like, come on, man. Like, really? Ugh. Ugh. Please answer my earlier question. Sorry, Theed. What did you say? You ever check out Toy Soldiers, the game I sent in your DMs? Oh, I think... No, I don't think I did. I don't think I got around to that. Hey, Edo, what's your favorite flamethrower tank? Obviously the Sherman, dude. The Sherman with the coaxial aligned flamethrower barrel. I think it was so sick. And what's great too is that flamethrower barrel replaced the telescopic front sight, or the telescopic gunner's sight, so it still retained its coaxial machine gun. So those flamethrower Shermans had their main gun, a coaxial flamethrower, and a coaxial machine gun, and a bow machine gun, and whatever roof-mounted machine guns it may have. A 30 cal for the commander, and possibly the 50 on the back. Like, those things could have been, and there were 105 variants of those tanks. So you could have a Sherman with bow machine gun, coaxial machine gun, commander 30 cal, 50 cal, 105 millimeter howitzer, and a flamethrower. Oh my god. An infantry's worst nightmare. That shit would have been... Those tanks did exist. There were multiple. They made multiple of them. Mostly used in Pacific Theater. That shit would be... Oh my god. Oh my god. Problem is he talked about everything. Yeah, that's my thing with the... Yeah, he's just like... I don't know, man, just like pick a lane. I don't get it. Like just... Yeah, people who just try to like pretend to be experts in so much different stuff they're clearly not. I don't even pretend to be an expert in tank stuff. I literally, like, I tell you what I read. I tell you what my opinions are. I'm the last person who will call myself a expert on tanks. I don't think I'm not a historian. I am not an expert. What do all my videos say? What's the name of the series? Tank Enthusiast Reacts, right? I'm just an enthusiast. I'm just some random fucker on the internet who really, really likes tanks. Actually, dare I say, loves tanks with every heart fiber of my being. I truly love them. I think they're just infantilizing machines to study and to understand. And I'm fascinated by them in so many different ways. And so, yeah, like, I would not consider myself to be an expert. So I find especially people who totally are not claiming that they are, that really grinds my gears. At least that makes me go like, eh. Why would you don't do that, man. Don't do that. Was the M3 used in Europe other than the Soviets? If you count Italy as Europe, yes. Yes, the British used Scorpion mine flail tanks, Lee tanks in Europe. The M31 recovery vehicles were used in France and beyond. Actually, France themselves got a hold of some M31s. Italy up the boot, the M3 was used, again, recovery vehicles, but then also, the mine flail vehicles. And, well, what was the, I think that's really it. I mean, if you count the M7 Priest as a variant of the M3, but the M3, like, in its normal, just, like, box standard configuration, I do not believe so. If you count training exercises in the UK on the British mainland, then yes. But in terms of, like the M3s, just like a normal M3 Lee, to my knowledge, never fought against the Germans in, like, France or Belgium or Germany or whatever, like, on the Western Front. I don't think they did on the Eastern Front either, because by the time the Soviets were that close to Germany, they were not using the M3. Nobody was. Actually, well, they were in the Pacific. The Pacific Theater saw the M3 through 1944 into 1945, all the way to the end. The race to Rangoon and all that. The M3 was like the tank of one of the tanks of the Pacific Theater, even in 1944, 1945, when they were not being used anymore by anyone else. The command variants, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah, the British continued to use M3s, I think, as command variants, again, in Italy. Command vehicles. Again, I saw at least one photo of one in Italy. But yeah, like what we'd say, like when you say Europe, I think most of us are thinking of France, the Western Front. No. But if you count Italy, then variants of the M3 were used in Italy, yes. Was it called the Sherman Zippo? Yeah, I think it actually was, yeah, if I'm not mistaken. Given your outburst a second ago, I presume you also have your own steel rule, i.e. if someone put a lot of resources, time, and effort to build a prototype, they did care about the idea? Yeah, sure. Yeah, if someone went through the effort of building a tank in their garage, I'd be like, you clearly care a lot about tanks. Yeah, you clearly like tanks a lot. Why is the mantlet on the M4A3E8 not flat? I just noticed and it's kind of pissing me off. Because flat surfaces, I mean, it is more or less flat, but I guess, yeah, it's like slightly curved. To deter shrapnel or bullets or things like that, just hitting it and getting lodged in it probably. To help rain slide off it, I don't know. I'm not sure, to be honest. Dare I say loves tanks. Hell, you mean dare I say. Your room is coated in posters and models and maybe books of tanks. Oh, well, yeah, you guys actually... I finally have a place for all my books. My little shelf off to the camera here. I finally have a little place for all my tank books, and it's so epic. Have you done a lot of research on the Pacific? Did Sherman crews feel invincible? So the most research I've really ever done in the Pacific was for the M3 video. So I don't know if I can say too much about the Sherman, but for the M3, no. No one, I don't think anyone ever felt truly invincible. Actually, well, that's not true. The Germans, I think, would say that about the Tiger. They said they felt very, very safe inside Tigers and things like that. I'm sure if you were there at the time and were like, you guys feel good in your Shermans? And they'd be like, fuck yeah, like, we're kicking Japanese ass. Yeah, I'm sure so. I'm sure they felt very good having a Sherman against, say, like the Japanese tanks or bunkers or anything. But fundamentally, as a tanker, you are taught specifically, at least in American tanking that I know of, you are specifically taught never to feel invincible on a tank. Because that's like the hubris of that, you know? Like feeling like you're invincible, you're gonna make more mistakes. Like you should always feel like what saves your life is your skill, your ability to operate the tank, not just being in a tank. Yeah, that'll kill you. Yeah, thinking you're invincible in a tank is actually, coincidentally, or ironically, how you die in a tank. So I don't think many people would openly admit that, but I actually, I remember seeing a video, so there was some news that did like a piece on American tankers being trained in Abrams. It was like the classes of 2023 or whatever, 2022. And they're interviewing this girl, and they were like, do you feel safe in the tanks? And they asked her that, and she said no. And they said, interesting, like, why do you say that? They put it, and then she was like, I'm not really sure. And they were like, okay. But I guarantee you, she said no because it's been drilled into her fucking brain by training. Like, her drill sergeants have been like, you are not safe in a tank. Never, ever feel safe in a tank. Never say to anyone that you are safe. Never let your guard down. Just because you're in a tank does not mean you're invincible. I guarantee you that was drilled into her head in training. So then when they asked her, that was her immediate response was, no, I don't feel safe in a tank. I'm not supposed to. But then when they actually say why, explain it, she's like, I don't know. It's been drilled into my, like, it's just like, I understand, like, it's a concept that I understand, but I've never stopped and asked why. Like, they just always say, don't feel safe in a tank. Obviously I could be so wrong on that, but that's like, when I saw that, I was like, that's interesting. That's like that training being shown of her being like, I don't feel safe in a tank. Cause yeah, you're trained, you're not supposed to. The idea that you're invincible in a tank is, it is irresponsible, I guess is a word I would use for it. And on steel rule, I mean instances when people believe when, for example, Russia says that stealth planes don't matter when speaking of 22, while themselves putting billions to develop the Su-57. Idea put into steel. Same goes for people who believe that dozens of engineers from decades ago weren't smart, educated people, had worked within given limitations. Oh yeah, so like people who never did the work or who are not invested in the work, criticizing the work. You're like someone saying that like, I think like Stephen King is a bad author, but yet they're not really like a book nerd or anything. Like they don't even read that many books that much. Like they read it once and they were like, I didn't like it. I don't think Stephen King's a good author. It's like, what do you mean? Like you're not even like, you would like, if I would want to consult like a librarian, their opinion on Stephen King, right? I wouldn't want to just go to someone who's like, yeah, I don't read that many books, but I don't think Stephen King's that good of an author. It's like, well then, okay, you're allowed to have that opinion, but I'm not going to take jack shit from it. That means nothing to me. Is that sort of the idea that you're going around? Opinion on the Yugoslavian Sherman with the 122. Someone asked about it already. I said it was very epic and based. What's your favorite gun in general? Ooh. Dude, probably the C96. I gotta say, dude, probably the C96 Mauser broom handle. Yeah, probably. That thing is so cool. I also do love the MG34 actually. I think that's really neat. I think like as a massive tank nerd, the guns like the MG34, the Besa, the DT, the M2 Browning, the Browning 30 cals, those are all like machine guns and things that I really like. Will you ever remake a slightly confusing guide to the Sherman? Definitely, yes. I want to get my hands on all 3 volumes of the Son of Sherman books, which are like the new Bible of Sherman knowledge. And I think they're written by David Doyle, the same guy who wrote the book that I had on the M3 that I used for the M3 video, which is an amazing book. I highly recommend it. Goodness, what is a Son of Sherman? Son of Sherman books. They're written by David Doyle. Dude, so yeah. The book that I used for the M3 video, the M3 Lee Grant, written by David Doyle, is like genuinely one of the best tank books I have ever read, period, full stop. It is such an amazing book. This book is incredible. I highly recommend you buy this book, especially if my video on the M3 interested you at all. Literally, my video on the M3 was my 2 videos was basically this book in video format. I'm not even gonna lie to you. There were other books that I had too, and I had sources from, you can go to the description, you can see all the sources I took. I went from a lot of different places, but the overall story was very much taken from this book, especially the part about like the establishment of the American tank industry. I mean, it's literally a subtext in there. The M3 Lee medium tank, the foundation of America's tank industry. This book is an incredible resource on the M3, and it's an amazing just tank book. It's my favorite tank book that I own. It is such a good book. I highly recommend it. And the fact that the same guy, David Doyle, has also written 3 books on the Sherman, if they're anything like this, they are going to be orgasmic books to read, and I would love to make videos on them. I mean, like specifically, it would be an honor to remaster Slightly Confusing Guide to the Sherman with the knowledge given from those books, because that would be just leagues above any of the research that I did for the original. And even then, that video, people still love that video. People still cite that video all the time and say, like, this is the definitive guide to the Shermans, which I'm very flattered by. But looking back on it, like, all I really did was read from Sherman Minutia homepage. So to be able to say, like, I have, like, genuine academic sources behind, not to say that Sherman Minutia homepage isn't potentially academic, but, you know, I forgot where I just was. I was reading. I was reading chat in the middle of a sentence. Oh yeah, not to say that Sherman Minutia homepage isn't potentially an academic source, but to be able to say I have like proper books from established authors behind what I'm saying, that would help a lot. And also, I could be infinitely more detail. I'm really bad at explaining what's in my head, apparently. Yeah, I guess. Mostly that's what I mean. I guess the base is that something put into steel is an argument in on itself because it exists. Oh, I see. Like the idea that if it was made, then surely the people behind it knew what they were doing. That's sort of what you mean? Like, I actually kind of agree with that. If that's what you mean, I actually agree with that, because I think a lot of people will say, like, what tanks are bad. You know, people say, like, this was a bad tank. But I find in my personal research that, like, it's very rare that a military puts into service with their army a truly bad tank that is, like, actually irredeemably awful. Like, usually most tanks that end up in service have something good to them, some reason that they were adopted. Like, it's very rare that a complete piece of shit just gets adopted. So the idea being that the fact that the tank was made, produced in large numbers, and used in military service surely must mean that it was good in some way that the army using it found useful, found beneficial. Surely you can't just say, this tank was a piece of shit and you shouldn't like it. What do you mean it was a piece of shit? Clearly it wasn't, because it was used a lot. And like you say, the idea was put into steel. They actually built them, and they actually used them. And so clearly it had some merit. Yeah, even if the piece of equipment was bad, it usually means that the competition was even worse. Yes, we're 100% on the same page there. I completely agree with you on that. That's why I personally don't like to say that tanks are bad. I will say, like, I just went on a big rant about how the Sherman wasn't nearly as maneuverable as the T-34, and how the Sherman had a lot of downsides in that regard. And, like, I can say, like, certain tanks didn't do certain things very well, but you will rarely find me say that I think a tank is bad. Like, the tank sucks. Because I think that's just a useless thing to say. Like, what does that mean? So what, the tank is bad? They still used it, and whatever happened, happened. I don't like thinking about it that way. I don't like all-encompassing and just saying this tank was good or this tank was bad. I think that's just kind of a useless thing to say. I think you're missing the point. I think the point is the way it was used and the way it was designed and all that. It's pros and cons. Usually there's pros and there's cons. Yeah, Marvin Harrington. But, like, again, like, that was never actually adopted. Like, that tank did suck. All right, that tank was bad, but it was so bad that they just didn't use it. The Valiant is another example, right? Isn't the Valiant is the one I'm thinking of? That British tank that they drove it for, like, 13 minutes, and then they were like, this thing is awful and dangerous, don't ever drive it again. Yeah, the Valiant, yeah. That also, you know, actually was, okay, granted, I'm decrumbling my own argument, but yes, that was a bad tank. But again, it was never adopted. It was never actually used. It was never, you know, it didn't make it anywhere past trials because it was not good. Were you the first to make a video talking about the M3 Lee variants? I think I might be. I think, and I'm ready to be proven wrong on the internet, the open internet, YouTube. Feel free to go find something and prove me wrong. I'd love to be proven wrong on this. But yeah, I think I might very well be the first. My video might be like the first deep dive of that level on the M3. Like, I don't think anyone had ever gone that deep on YouTube before on the M3. There are plenty of videos on the M3, some of which I cited for my own research. Actually, Spookston had a great video on the M3, a very short, concise, just a great little thing. And, like, everything he said, I was like, damn, like, I did all this research, made this multi-hour, multi-part documentary. And I watched Spookston's video, and I was like, he's 100% right. he got it all right. He got it all in 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, whatever it was. Like, he summarized it up instantly, so quick. And I was like, yeah, he's right. He's totally right. And other videos, I was like, damn, like, you explained everything in 20 minutes, and I took, 3 hours. But yeah, I don't think anyone has ever on YouTube made a video that in-depth about the M3. And that's part of why I wanted to do it, too, is because I did all this research and I discovered how important of a tank the M3 is and how amazing it is. Not amazing in sense of, like, it's the best tank that's ever made, but sorry, how fascinating it is. I should correct my words there. Discovering how fascinating of a tank it is and how important of a tank it was for America, doing all that research and then being like, dude, like, no one's talking about this. Like, this is such a cool tank and no one's talking about it like that. Everyone just says it was a stopgap and then everyone dismisses it, you know? It's just the tank that came before the Sherman. But we should really be thinking about it more than that. We should be thinking about it. It's much more than that. It was at least for America. Like, for the Soviets, I get it. It was a coffin for six brothers. It showed up. It was worse than the T-34 in every way. And, like, you know, whatever. We didn't use them that much and they weren't that great. I totally get it. For Britain, you could say it held us off until we had something better. Totally get it. But for America, we established our tank industry on the M3. We trained all of our troops on the M3. We didn't know what a medium tank was until the M3. That's not true. We had the M2. But still, the M3 was so incredibly important. It's such a titular tank in American tank history. I really can't believe it is so not talked about anymore. Now that I've done all this research, I can't believe people don't talk about it more. Like, it is actually crazy. For as much as we love the M4, I'm so surprised we don't talk about the M3 that much. So anyway, yeah, I think I was the first. It's an interesting question. The Panzer I also F scratches my brain. Do you know why they don't continue developing the idea of well-armored, cheap infantry support tanks? I think tanks nowadays have too many bells and whistles. You can't truly make like a cheap infantry support tank. Like the Panzer I is like basically a sheet metal with a machine gun. Like, let's totally be honest with ourselves here. Also, I think the weapons on the modern battlefield are so fucking deadly that even well-armored vehicles are struggling, right? So like, why would you make something with even less armor? Like, what are you sacrificing as a result? Like, are you getting better speed out of it? Are you getting better... I don't know. Your answer may be, well, it's cheaper. But less armor doesn't inherently make something cheaper. And yeah, nowadays, tanks have so much tech built into them that even the cheapest thing is going to be... I mean, you wouldn't want to lose it. That's, again, like the Panzer I, it's sheet metal with a machine gun. If you lose one, whatever. But nowadays, even like a Bradley or something, even like a lightly armored, like an armored car, they've got computers and they've got vision, they got thermals, they got all this technology that's like, yeah, if we can not lose one of those, like, I think we would rather not. I think nowadays tanks are less expendable than they used to be. Well, okay, sorry. They're still quite expendable, but like, from a design perspective. Like, I think even back in World War II, they designed tanks that were like, we know this isn't going to survive very long, and that's not the point. I think today we value them a lot more, as we should, in my opinion. But I don't think I don't think you could build a tank as simple as the Panzer I today and have it like actually work and be good. But back in World War II, you could, because back in 1934 or whatever it was, the Panzer I was like actually somewhat contemporary. Did the Valiant also have some redeeming features? It probably had like a cool gun. It was probably like one of the only tanks that the 17-pounder actually fit in and like wasn't awful. I don't even know what gun the Valiant had. I think it may have actually had a 75. But I don't even know. So you guys are keeping me around a lot longer than I intended because this is just such riveting tank conversation. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. Any difference between the 75 M2 and M3? Yes. I've got it in my script. Let me pull up my script. Sorry, I don't have this off the top of my head. But there would have been changes. Hold on. They rotated the recoil mechanism 90 degrees. So on the M3, the breech block slid bottom to top. So you inserted the shell and the breech block came up and closed off. They rotated it to face the loader. So in the Sherman, it was sideways and the breech block closed from right to left. So you threw the shell in and it slid shut on you. Because depending on which direction the breech block is coming in, the back of the breech is a U-shaped opening to allow your hand to go in and then have room to come up and out. So on the M3, or on the M2 gun, the earlier gun, the breech block came up, so it was like a U shape like that. So the gap was in the top, so your hand could push the shell in and then go up and over, because the loader was situated directly behind the gun on the M3, in the tank, the M3. The M2 gun, and then in the Sherman, since the loader is to the right, that breech block is rotated, so now that opening, now the U is sideways, and the opening is on the left, so you can insert your hand and then move it out of the way sideways, and then the breech block closes. So that was one change. They rotated the recoil, rotated the breech. The barrel was longer. They added it got a different, it had a different recoil guard to it. And some other things I can go and check. I will check my script, but I think that was about that. I think that was mostly what they changed. M3 Lee documentary. I'm gonna control F. I'm gonna search M2, and it's like 30 results. Can I do M2 gun? There we go. The M2 gun, here we go. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Oh yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, longer barrel, so they can do away with the counterbalance and rotate the recoil mechanism, or rotate the breech. And that's basically it. That's all I have. That's all I have in the script, and I'm pretty sure that's it. I'm sure I could do some. I'm sure I could do some digging in here, and I could find like 1 or 2 extra things they changed, but not much. Yeah, I mean, to get to the basis of your question, there really wasn't much of a difference between the M2 and the M3. But it was enough of a difference that I guess it caused a huge bottleneck in production, right? Favorite GUP school? I gotta say Saunders, man. I gotta say Saunders. I gotta say... Well, okay, well, Bonpol, sorry. Bonpol is probably my favorite just because Poland. And I've heard Ribbon Warrior is very good. But, like, I've had people ask me several times of if you had to join a GUP school, what would it be? I think I would be Saunders. Mostly because not much of a cultural shock because America, right? Or at least a bunch of Japanese girls pretending to be American. I can at least slip in and be like, yeah, burgers. We all like, woohoo, popcorn. Yeah, totally. And all whatever stuff Saunders girls think Americans do. I can just fit in and be like, yeah, totally, dude. But then also Shermans. And I literally know how to operate a Sherman. I have the book knowledge on, like, I know the startup procedure. I know all the procedures of operating a Sherman. So I would need minimal training. It's always so wholesome. I have a dedicated fan base that'll always watch your videos, always say hi on a stream. It's a funny feeling. It is a very funny feeling. It's very cool. It's really cool to see a lot of the same names coming around and people just really digging what you do. I mean, that's cool in any capacity. Like, you do something and other people are like, dude, this is sick. But to be able to do that and to have like thousands of people and they leave comments and they go out of their way to tell you, really enjoyed your video. Like, I got emails from the guy who runs the Armored Fighting Vehicles database, the American Fighting Vehicles database website, which I used as a source for my video on the M3, and he emailed me saying, like, great video, thank you for referencing me, and, like, you did an amazing job. Like, that stuff is just incredible. Like, that's, it's a feeling I can't really describe. I feel like I don't cherish it enough. I feel like I don't sit back and relish in it enough. I feel like I just kind of move on to the next thing. War Thunder has it modeled wrong. The M3's 75 is all messed up. How so? I don't think it looks that bad. There are problems with the M3 and War Thunder, which I will get into in the Tank Enthusiast Reacts to War Thunder. Trust me, especially the grants the grant that they have modeled is like very odd. It's a lot of weird, like, this looks like it's supposed to be an early variant, but it's got some weird features and it's like a very particular tank. Neither of them are how they would have been coming out of the factory, I don't believe. They both have like some interesting, like, that's like clearly either like a field mod or a post mod quirk. Actually, I know for a fact the Grant model in War Thunder has it has the external air cleaners and fishtail exhausts, but specifically the quick fix version of it. As a quick little note, actually, wait, I've got photos all saved to my computer. I just got finished making a 3-hour-long documentary about this. Let me pull up some photos for you guys, just as a quick little tank minutia lesson, because I think this will be quite fun. Pics by video. Where? Pics by video. Slightly confusing guy. No, excuse me. M3. The M3 Lee video. Here we go. Oh goodness, I'm gonna have all this. These photos are gonna be all disjointed, but I can try. Oh, here we go. Okay. Cool. Okay. So this is, all right, this is actually perfect. So I can show you guys. This is what it would look like in production, right? So try not to, I know we're looking at the rump of a tank, try to hold it in, chat, but this is, so they move the air cleaners externally, right, on the outside, and they move the fishtail exhaust. For most instances, it's like kind of up under this plate. You don't really see them sticking out this far. This is a bit odd, but it's okay. But this is where they are up here. The way the exhaust used to be is the exhaust used to feed out of holes down here, and it came up, and the exhaust was up here in pepper pot exhaust. but they swapped out the pepper pot exhaust with the external air cleaners, and then they put this fishtail exhaust on there. So that happened. But they also issued quick fix. Oh, actually, here's a cool example. This photo's so low res, but here's a cool example of there. You can see the fishtail exhaust kind of up here. It's a bit more like what it really would have looked like. Anyways, where is my? Here it is. Oh no! Oh, here's the earlier exhaust. Here's what it looked like before. So you have these holes down here, and the exhaust came out of those holes and came up, and then these were the pepper pot exhausts. And as you can see, they replaced those with the fishtail. Well, that's okay. Sorry, this is my photo album of all my M3 photos. But anyway, so that's the old style, the old exhaust. And then they replaced it with the fishtails that I had just shown you. Well, when the fishtail exhaust was implemented, when the fishtail exhaust and the external air cleaners were first implemented, obviously you had a lot of tanks which had the older system that needed to be retrofitted. So they issued quick fix kits to do that. And I'm trying to see if I can find... Here we go. Oh, and this is a great example. Here it is. Boom. So this here on the left is the quick fix. So you can see that hole that was cut in the back for the old exhaust system is still there because it's just a retrofit. So they popped out the old exhaust, stuck the new air cleaners in, and then stuck the fishtails into the old exhaust hole. So the fishtails are down here under the air cleaners. Whereas on the new production tanks, they actually moved the exhaust pipes so the fishtails were up here. The M3 Grant that is in War Thunder has this style of exhaust. So it's clearly the quick fix retrofit, not a from the factory fishtail exhaust. And I thought that was very interesting. When I was analyzing the M3 in War Thunder, I noticed that and was like, that's interesting. So clearly whatever model reference they had, or whatever photo reference they had, it was clearly of a sort of, it was clearly a quick fix retrofitted tank. This man really comparing tank asses? Dude, at this point, it's literally my job. At this point, it is what I do. I'm studying mechanical engineering, graduating in 2 years. I'll ensure Rheinmetall makes a modernized M3 Lee. God bless you, sir. You're doing the Lord's work. Thank you very much. Any tips on differentiating Valentine variants? How to tell externally what engine a Valentine has? Or are you as blind as I am? As for Valentines, I'm as blind as you are. British tanks are my kryptonite. I really have no idea. I really do not know. Hi, Edit. What I come into? I was looking at tank ass. I was looking at tank butts. Tank booties. Anyway. You guys think it's finally time to cut this out? To cut this short? We went for 3.5 hours. I think we have had plenty of fantastic tank discussion. This should definitely be its own video. Or at least cut out into its own video. I can cut out little bits of it. Nah, keep going. Guns are ass. Guns. Oh, guns. I don't know if I'm allowed to show guns on stream anymore. Remember, guys? I got banned for it last time. Well, not okay. Last time I did pick up my guns and it was okay. But remember that first time, dude? I freaking picked up my guns and they banned me for it on the live channel. And they deleted the VOD. So I don't think I can do that. M3 as an IFV should be cut into the video. Yeah, I think that's a very interesting question to bring up. Is hey, the Soviets found that they could stuff 10 machine gunners into the M3, and they liked that and used it as this quasi BMP. I don't know, what is it? It's they just stuffed a bunch of infantrymen inside of a normal tank and ferried them around or whatever, and then they let them out, and then when they got to where they went, they disembarked or whatever. Is that an IFV? I don't know. That is kind of similar to what a modern day BMP does, but it's an M3. How the fuck? But yeah, that to me is a very interesting point that I would love to bring up in that video. If I made a video out of this, I would love to do that. You put your head next to a shotgun barrel? I think that's why they banned me. Yeah. Your guns are non-functional cardboard cutout replicas. It's too late. Earlier in the stream, I already confirmed that the Lee Enfield was real and actually functioned. Sorry, guys. Can I zoom in, though? Can I do like a little, like... There you go. Look at that. Check that out. Can I do that? Look at that. Look at that, huh? Clip that, huh? Winchester 1897, C96, Mauser broom handle, M91 original pattern Mosin, dated for 1917. Next to it is an M9130, so it's the the World War II Mosin. This one's dated 1944. It was made in Finland. It has the SA Finnish Army stamp. Springfield model of 1903. The receiver was built at Rock Island Arsenal in 1918. And it was built as a completed rifle by Springfield Armory in about 1921, 1922. And then in 1944, it was refurbished by the Arsenals and given a new stock, a new barrel, a new finish, and all that. Enfield. Birmingham Small Arms Company built this one. It's a 1916 genuine World War I SMLE. 1976 production Yugoslavian SKS. And then, obviously, my beloved, the Lee Enfield No. 4 Mark I. This one is a bastard gun. It's a huge mismatch of parts, and I can't trace its history at all. But based on its configuration, on its looks, it's probably around a 1942 example of a Lee Enfield No. 4. Now, the problem, I think, is them... Sorry, I did the thing where I read chat mid-sentence and I forgot. Sorry, what YouTube has a problem with is me holding my guns and handling them on stream, apparently. But just having them like sitting around, they don't mind. So, I guess. It's Mahover. Yeah, literally. Don't you remember? Tightly control info about your life. Internet can find a place by clouds. Don't risk. I know, but first of all, I've already got a room tour on the main channel. So I literally already have a video of me going around my room showing everything off. Actually, my room is a bit different than it was back then. Honestly, more clean. I've cleaned a lot of things up around here than I did before. Secondly, I'm not going to be living here for too much longer. Sorry to actually kind of drop that ball on you guys, but probably around the summer of this year, I will not be living here anymore. I'll move somewhere else. Also, yeah, to be honest, like maybe I'm a very like unsafe guy, but I don't think I'm that in danger. Like I don't think there are many people on the internet who like would want me dead, and I don't plan on making enough enemies. What actually? Remember that one guy who was in the fucking Helldivers stream who was like accusing me of like being like Dr. Disrespect in YouTube DMs? This guy was DMing my 15-year-old sister on YouTube stream DMs. It's like, YouTube doesn't have stream DMs. Like, bro was trying to accuse me of being some, like, Dr. Disrespect, and it was like, what the fuck are you on about? So maybe I am making enemies faster than I realize. At a new house tour? No. Not my whole house, no. But the room will be different, and I'm actually genuinely having to figure out, like, what is my new background going to be? Because I'm going to have to rebuild all this, or set it up differently, and wherever I go next might not have such a beautifully placed wall right behind me for this amazing background. Like, I'm gonna have to find a way to rebuild this background wherever I go next. So, because I love this background. It's perfect, it's amazing. It's got everything I've ever loved and wanted out of it. My little leopard isn't glowing, by the way. There he is. Yeah, now he's glowing. My little leopard. He's a little leopard. You guys like him? Hold on. There you go. He's a little leopard. These things are sick, by the way. You can buy them on the interwebs, on the internet. There's my lightsaber, Kanan's lightsaber from Rebels. Red Hot Chili Peppers, favorite album. Katusha and Nona, little keychain down there, next to my little Canadian buddy. Pocky sticks, I love Pocky sticks. Parking ticket, because I get a lot of parking tickets. Because I'm literally stupid as fuck and forget to move my car all the time. I swear to God, they keep like street cleaning when they're not saying they're going to, and then I get a goddamned parking ticket every fucking time. Anyway, he was Dr. Disrespecting himself. Yeah. If you think about it, the design of the Lee could have been drastically improved if it didn't have a 37mm turret. You're about to start endangering. I was about to ask you why do you think so? But we're gonna be here for another like 60 years, guys. I have to cut the stream short. I have to end it here. I have to eat food and I have to get water. Is that my fucking JoJo reference? Is it? No, I don't think it is. Are there JoJo references? Do I actually have a JoJo reference on my... Eat on stream? No. I have in the past, but no. Red Hot Chili Peppers. Making a mukbang stream. Someone's about to make the M3 Lee an assault gun. No, so this is part of the reason why I say, okay, come on, Edda, make this short. This is part of the reason why earlier when someone said, did the design of the B1 BIS influence the M3 Lee? It did not, because when they originally designed the M3 Lee, the whole point was to take the T5E2, which was a T5 M2 tank with the 75 in the hull. That was just the whole idea. No turret, it's just the 75 in the hull. So when they built the M3, the idea was just to do that. Take an M2 medium and stick a 75 in the hull and just do that. Leave it at that, because we want a 75 millimeter gun into a turret eventually, but we can't make one right now. So they were prepared. The armored board was prepared to adopt just the 75 in the hull with no turret. So, which is literally a Stug, right? A casemate 75 in the hull. So the armored board originally just wanted what is basically an American Stug, an assault gun. But the infantry board demanded that a 37 millimeter gun be retained for anti-tank work, because at the time, from the infantry perspective, the 37 was the anti-tank gun, and the 75 was like a howitzer anti-infantry thing. And infantry still owned tanks at the time, so what infantry says goes. So when infantry says we need a 37, they put a 37 on it. So the 37 was retained, but originally they didn't want it. Or originally they made no mention of one. There were no plans to do that until infantry came in and said, no, it needs to have a 37. But they were prepared to adopt just the 75 in the hull, just M3 Lee without a turret. Literally, they were prepared to do that. That's what they wanted. But yeah, anyways, I've already explained it. Make it quick. M3 Lee is both IFV and a Stug. Yep, that is exactly right. That's it. Put that on a t-shirt. Put it and ship it. Yeah, I see. Goth girl fucker. Shout out Goth girl fucker in chat. Yeah, 37 millimeter did add weight, which is true. They added the reinforcement ribs to the roof of the turret, to the roof of the tank, because the turret they were worried would be too heavy. And so you're right, the turret added weight. It was very tall, and the cupola was even taller. And then so you're right, it would have been a slightly lower profile vehicle, although not by much. Still would have been very tall. But yeah, the infantry unironically nerfed the M3. Yeah. Okay, stop, Edda, stop ranting about tanks. You're gonna fucking. That's gonna be an emoji on the server. That's gonna be a new emoji. Listen, guys, I have to go. Guys, top ask. All right, if you want to ask me more questions, there's a channel on the Discord called #AskEdda. You can do it, and that has to happen. Okay. Ask me on Discord. Thank you so much for coming out to stream. Thank you for the welcome. And thank you and goodbye from the... I'm malfunctioning. The 2024 year in review live stream where we took a look back at 2024 and things were good. Not as good as 2023, but great in my opinion. And 2025 is going to be just as good, if not better. 2025 is going to be satisfactory. I'm going to make okay content for you. Things are going to be normal. Yay! Fingers crossed. I'll keep updates going as I have them on the Discord, as always, and I'll try to be more active on YouTube community page as well. Anyways, if you have more questions that I didn't get to, ask me on the Discord, and I will get to them. Or ask in the comments down below on this, right? Because this will be saved as a VOD. You can go back and rewatch this whenever you want. And, yeah. Thanks, guys, so much for coming out. And I will see you, hopefully never again. Oh, hold on. There's a... Can we just skip to the end of the... Oh, wait, that's the end of the... Hold on. I want to do the end of the song. I wanted to wait for the song to end so then I can do, like, a fade to black type thing. I don't have this set up for a fade to black, but... Anyways, we'll get back to streaming very soon on the main channel. Thank you guys so much. Have a good night. Call someone you love and tell them you love them. And remember to stay healthy and hydrated. Drink water every couple of minutes. And love tanks, dude. Just freaking love them. Thanks, guys.